And he never looked up once through that entire experience. He was just like, well, you gotta go, you gotta go.
I didn't say anything.
Let's see. What is this?
I just laughed. That's all I did. It was funny.
Is everything ready here? Hold on. Yes. Okay.
That's usually the order of things anyway. Okay, stop, Bo. Jesus.
Jeez, Bo. Gross. All right, here we go. This is the show. Enjoy it in 3, 2, 1. Car! Hi-yo, everybody, and welcome to Core, the only chocolate-covered podcast guaranteed to contain less razor blades inside each and every one.
Less.
I saw somebody flip it on its end today and do a razor, like a Gillette razor for your face, but they replaced the razor with an entire tiny Snickers bar. And so it was like the reverse of the meme. So somebody, instead of getting razor blades in your candy bar, you're getting candy bar in your razor blades. And I thought that was funny. I liked it.
Yeah,
I saw one with a candy bar that had Zelotest toe in it.
Ugh, really?
Yeah, I saw that
too. Be careful with the candy bars. I found Zelotest toe in my kids' chocolate.
I missed that entirely. Hey, everybody, we're recording a little early on Halloween. It's October 31st, 2024, and I'm Scott with Bo and John, and we're here to do a show. So thanks for being here. We decided to do it earlier because John's got little ones. I got stuff planned tonight. It's Halloween night. We got, you can't just do a show till 10 on Halloween. So we're doing it early. And maybe this is a cool time.
Yeah, maybe get used to it, maybe.
Yeah, maybe get used to it. We'll let you know for sure if you should take that to heart soon enough. But I think maybe get used to it is what I would say. That's good advice from John Jagger today. Let's dive right into the news. There's plenty of it. Let's go. Hey, guess what, guys? I don't know if this is going to shock any of you, but Sony went ahead and let Firewalk Studios go, the makers of Concord, the very successful game-as-a-service team shooter.
Wait, let them go or shut them down?
Shut them down.
Shut them down.
Yeah. So I didn't just let them go. They're not going to go find the roost anywhere else. So what happened to them, John?
There were slight rumors that maybe they were going to try and save it because despite being shut down and refunded and all of that, Steam was apparently pushing updates to Concord for a little bit after the supposed death of the game.
Yeah.
So there was some conspiracy theorists going, oh, they're going to try and save it. It's coming back. But no, it kind of went the way that, like when you have everybody not exaggerating when they're like, hey, this is one of the biggest video game failures of all time, you kind of know the direction it's going to go, which is very sad. As we've pointed out, we know people who worked on that game. I reached out to the one we know for sure.
Yep.
Just to let her know, we were thinking about her because this sucks.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Like there was never a world where Concord was going to be a game I played or got excited about.
Yeah.
It would have been nigh impossible to do.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I don't wish the best for people I like.
Yeah. So. Especially that particular person. She's now this is what the second major studio thing that got pulled out from under her. And now someone else is going to get the best community person we've ever worked with in the history of any of this. So I do not worry about her future prospects because somebody's going to finally realize what they have with her, and they'll never let her go. But yeah, Concord, bye, I guess. Firewalk Studios, out of here. Here's the quote, by the way, from, let's see, this is from Holst, is the president of the studio. He says, we have spent considerable time these past few months exploring all our options. After much thought, we have determined the best path forward is to permanently sunset the game and also close the studio. I want to thank all of Firewalk for their craftsmanship, creative spirit, and dedication. And I would just say this. The video game business is a cruel place sometimes. And one of its great cruelties is you get one shot these days as a studio, and you may even be a studio with a string of hits, and then you get picked up by a big publisher like Sony, and now you got money and the backing and all the stuff that you need to do your big dream projects, and all it takes is one thing like this. There's no forgiveness in this business. There's no second chances, it feels like sometimes.
Unless you sell a Brontor mount years later to recoup the cost of your failed $80 million MMO. But yes, mostly that's true.
Yeah.
Mostly, there's some exceptions. I'm just saying.
Yeah, there are ways around it, I suppose. But I think they're when they made Overwatch out of the ashes of Titan, I think that kind of paid for it. I don't think they looked back since then. But your point is well taken. Your point is well taken. I think it's an interesting point. But these guys really had no choice. If the game wasn't the deck stacked against this, right? This is a studio people hadn't heard of and a game people hadn't heard of, other than what little Sony had shown of it, which is kind of their job, is to get us excited about a game. I think they failed at doing that. I doubt anyone at Sony PR got fired. So that's my biggest bummer here. Is it's like these guys put in their blood, sweat, and tears on this thing, and then yank, you're done. See ya. Sorry, no second chances. I wish they would have found a path forward, but I don't know what that path looked like. Right, like John said, but nobody was chomping at the bit for this game. So I don't know what to say to those people. Like, what do you even say?
I remember I may be misquoting here because one, I'm sick, and two, even when I feel good, I don't have a great memory. But I thought it was Matt Damon talking about the movie industry and stuff like that.
Matt Damon.
Yeah, Matt Damon, not the puppet though.
Oh,
the actual person.
Good news.
And he said that there are a lot of people who make decisions around movies that basically their job is to keep their job. Mm-hmm. And they do that by simply saying, well, this worked for someone before, so I'm going to do it again, even though I know it's probably not a good idea. But at least if it fails, I can keep my job by saying, hey, I did what somebody else did that was successful. And I can't help but feel like that applies to video games too, because there is definitely this big feeling of, like, oh, well, we made a hero shooter. Look at how successful Overwatch was. Like, don't get mad at me for pushing this. This was a great idea. I'm great at my job. Mm-hmm. Fire them. It's their fault. They should have made a better one. That's just not how that works. But it also goes to the trouble I think that AAA is having. It just takes too damn long to make a video game. Yeah. Like, this game, I don't know how this game would have done 10 years ago, but it would have done a hell of a lot better. Like, I think it's pretty safe to say that whether it was a failure or a success, a game that wasn't hitting a market where literally we would watch those shows of games that are coming out and we would go, okay, here's the Overwatch-like section of games. Like, I used to do that because I was so sick of them. Yeah. Like, it's a terrible type of game, and sadly there was nothing about Concord, to be brutally honest, that looked a cut above anything else that came out 10 years ago.
A terrible type of game. Let's dissect that for a second. Just for a second. John called it a terrible type of game. So you just don't like these team shooters.
No. I didn't say that it's a terrible type of game broadly. I mean, a terrible type of game to release nowadays.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not the biggest hero shooter fan.
Right.
But it's a terrible type of game to release now when there's a ton of them. I think Marvel Rivals stands a pretty good chance of doing well. I think that game has a lot of interesting buzz about it, but that game has a lot of things that Concord doesn't have. One, it has extremely recognizable characters that people want to play. I hate hero shooters. I have zero interest in playing them, but they put Spider-Man in the video game, and I'm like, well, God damn it, I want to play as Spider-Man for a little bit.
What's the over-under on John having spent $100 in skins by this time next year?
I'm going to say, I mean, John... well, okay. For a game to get you to spend money on skins, though, you do have to be decently invested in the game. So I have a feeling if you play it and you're like, well, this is trash, even if it is Spider-Man, you're not going to spend money on skins. Like, you won't do it. I don't think you're that.
I will absolutely buy 1 to 2 Spider-Man skins.
No, regardless of the quality of the game, you're doing it. You're going to spend it.
No, I have to like the game, yeah.
Right. Okay.
I will probably try the game. I'm morbidly curious about it.
Right.
I think
And if I get into it, there are at least 2 Spider-Man skins that if they're available to buy, I will purchase.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. What? Sorry, Bo. Go ahead.
no, I just think like Fallout, even if this game is considered successful, it's like defining those parameters because the game's certainly going to get a lot of attention at launch, but that could fall off with a thud after 2 months as well. Like those,
Yeah.
like either you're doing a free to play game, you make a shit ton of sales in your window where everyone's excited about your game, and then leaves, or the game actually people actually play it for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And we don't ever really, except for looking at Steam charts, we don't really ever know those numbers. So I still think I think like if you're going to be a Fortnite that's going to be around and have like longevity in terms of logins, that's a really rare thing, even if it was a good time to launch a shooter. So, I think Overwatch, I think there's like always those games that buck that trend. I think Overwatch bucked that trend largely thanks to, being Blizzard and people just play their games a lot. They have a big client base, whether you want to poo-poo them or not. And Fortnite has like earned that. I'm trying to think of other games. Like Apex has a pretty healthy thing, but I think they go up and down a lot like a yo-yo.
They fluctuate. Yeah.
Yeah, and then some like I personally I don't see Rivals lasting more than a year. I don't think this is a serious esports company. So
Yeah.
I don't know how a team shooter survives without a scene to support it.
I'm glad you brought that up. Well, I guess you just answered it for me. Do you think this sort of game, if it doesn't have a robust pro scene behind it, then there's no long tail on it?
It's a novelty. Like most video games are novelty sales. Like it's once the novelty wears off, what do you have? It's like some games do have something. They have a community. Like StarCraft has a community. Deadlock is not even officially released yet, and there's people playing that thing night and day. There's a community building around Deadlock as a sort of a reverse example of, instead of launching to hype, just building a committed bunch of people that will play that game regularly and purchase for that game.
For those that don't know what that is Valve's third-person MOBA shooter thing, hero shooter.
Yeah, and it's great. I love it. I think it's fantastic, and so it's like most of these, this Concord idea launched with the idea that we're like going to blow your socks off with an amazing trailer, which, setting aside its Guardian of the Galaxy adjacent side, they did put a lot of effort and quality into the trailer. It just didn't hit, but they didn't build a community. They're like, here's your shooter, you will play in droves, and people just got resistant to it. Like, it generated no goodwill. They had no people in their community building ahead of time on the game.
Yeah.
And what it showed in terms of like novelty to like entice people, it just didn't. And it just didn't work. And so you roll the dice on that.
It launched with it is definitely a dice roll. They launched with 697 players on Steam was the maximum all-time peak. That's lower than the launch peak of Lord of the Rings Gollum. I think we talked about that before, but it's worth mentioning again how poorly this thing launched. Sony now.
Yeah, it's way lower than you. It's when you hear bad, it's way lower than what you assume it would be.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be true of, like, it's a tired genre right now is the thing. Is like, yes, I would say if I was going to bet on one succeeding, and I don't know for how long, because I think Bo makes a lot of sense on maybe it would only be for a year or so. If I was going to bet on one, I'd bet on Marvel Rivals. But even then, I'm not saying, oh, I would guarantee Marvel Rivals is going to be successful. I'm just saying that if you're telling me you're making a hero shooter, I would recommend getting your We Hear You JPEG ready in advance. Just have that written and ready to go.
I think a lot of these companies have their We Hear You JPEGs at the ready. I think they probably do. I think you're telling the truth.
Probably a whole job now. There's just like a job in the PR department that's like a JPEG maker for Twitter, a JPEG apology.
Yeah. How many We Hear You JPEGs have you done on your resume?
I love that.
You might as well just get it ready. And I don't think Marvel Rivals is immune to that, but I think it probably stands the better chance of any of the ones I know about.
Yeah. Also, that's an IP worth reckoning with, and I think that gives them a huge advantage. They would really have to blow it to have this thing have this kind of problem, right? This would be, it's just kind of unheard of. Not that they haven't
I don't think
canceled.
it'll be Concord 2. Now,
No.
does it last a year or more? I don't know. But, like, I don't think we're going to see another Concord with Marvel Rivals.
Probably not. One of the buried bits of news in this is they also shut down another studio, kind of not covertly, but because the Concord thing got all the news, you didn't really hear about it. But Sony's Neon Koi mobile game development studio, it's called Neon Koi, also shutting down. Even though they say, quote, mobile remains a priority growth area for Sony. This is originally an acquired German-Finnish studio that was known for Savage Game Studios in 2022. That was their name then. They were working on some unannounced AAA mobile live service action game. So what that tells me...
Wow, there's a lot of buzzwords, man.
Yeah, that's a lot. Here's what that tells me. That tells me that they're either already in the middle of doing this or they need to shift their game live as a service, or however you want to say it. That strategy needs some tweaking, or get rid of it, or start over, or something, because they clearly don't know either what they're doing, or Sony's just now entering a market that they don't truly understand when it has already hit a massive saturation point, and you can't just insert yourself in there without something else. Like if Sony would have said, all right, well, instead of Concord, this game's called, I don't know, God of War Rivals. Or something with an IP attached to
exist?
it. It might exist. I don't actually know.
Rivals of War.
Familiar.
Rivals of War. That's pretty good.
Rise of War, Godsworn, or something like that. There you go.
But whenever they try this, they've done this before. They tried it with that. They're basically their Smash Brothers ripoff. It was all Sony characters fighting in a little 2D, 2.5D grid thing, PS3 era stuff. That thing failed miserably. Did really bad. I just think they're sometimes late, and it's probably frustrating for them because they're Sony. They have major stuff going on at Sony. Big names, big titles, amazing exclusives. It's their whole brand, but they can't seem to do this part. And maybe they don't need to.
Hey, we started as a Heroes of the Storm show.
That's true.
That was Blizzard.
Yeah.
Blizzard.
Yeah.
Making a MOBA, and it couldn't hang.
Right.
So, and I still think it's the best MOBA that I've ever played.
Oh, by miles.
So, it's just the way it goes.
Yep. I still wish it would come to Steam. I want to see if it did anything there, like just created some buzz or got some new life, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think it would be hard pressed to find new life unless there was a push behind it, because even if the air of dead game, true or not, is a hard one to overcome.
Yeah.
It's like eating stinky tuna fish. Like you open that can and you're gonna be like, I don't know if I want to do this. Even if it's good, even if it turns out you like it just fine, it's gonna hang over as you go to dive in. And I think if they put it on Steam and said, hey, it's coming to Steam and here's the first new character since who's the last one? Hogger? Was Hogger their swan song?
Hogger is the last one.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
Here's the first new hero since Hogger. Like maybe it could drum up some attention, but I don't think they care enough to do it.
I don't have any hatred for Hogger, but I hate that that's the last one they did. That's annoying. Like that's not cool. Hogger.
He kills everyone, and he killed Heroes of the Storm. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. Bums me out. Well, anyway, how about this? Now I know you guys have been excited about this. A couple of years ago, Ubisoft announced they were making an NFT game. And we all assumed that when NFTs hit the skids and everybody finally realized how worthless this stupid idea is, and all the big studios who talked positively about it seemed to back off, including Square and others, right? Well, apparently Ubisoft didn't. They went ahead and made that game and stealth launched it last week.
That's because nothing's too desperate for Ubisoft.
It sure feels like it. Champions Tactics Grimoria Chronicles launched.
Champions Tactics.
Supposed to be kind of a decent tactics game, but the whole thing, you can't even play it without registering your crypto wallet or your blockchain wallet ID thing with it.
Geez.
So it doesn't work any other way. You have to do that.
I mean, there's a bunch of people that are into crypto. So if you wanted to make them your customer base on a fun game, maybe if you're into crypto, this is a good game for you.
You finally have a game.
Maybe that's actually a good.
It's
you know what?
Not about a bored monkey.
I just appreciate that perspective because I've been trying to find a positive view into this,
Yeah.
or one.
Well,
that
I mean, just all you have to do is think. Not all games like are for me, which is like 80%, if not 100%, of the problem with most criticism of video games right now. Is everyone assumes the game is made for them. All
Right.
people should like all the games, and it's like, okay, that's not how movies work. Like, if you're not into romance, if you don't like rom-coms, you don't have to critique a rom-com for not being like something you want to play or watch. And it's like, so I think NFTs are stupid, would never play this game. But clearly, if Twitter's to be believed, there are people who really like cryptocurrency.
What's cool, or what's
Well,
a bummer
I got
about
good news for you. There's a game for you.
Here's the
Enjoy.
bummer. Here's the bummer about it. The look of this and the way these characters animate, they're like almost stop motion, but more like they're made of stone, so they move in like this rocky kind of way when they fight.
Animating pewter miniatures.
Yeah,
basically.
it's beautiful. It's so cool looking. This looks like it'd be a good tactics game, turn-based, squad-based tactics. Like, what a nice little fun little game. Just let me buy this game and let me play this game. But the fact that it's all rooted in that,
yeah, but it's not for you. They get to have cool things too.
Well, I think Bo's outlook is very healthy. Chad already said it, but this is where I would push back. I 100% agree with Bo, except this is another failure of AAA. If you're going to make a AAA big budget game, then you are making a game that's supposed to be for everybody, because that's what you need to make your money back. So if this game is small enough to where just the people that are into NFTs buying into it and playing it sustains it and keeps it going, then yeah, 100% more power to them. If they're expecting everybody to jump on board and play this game, then Bo's right. It's not a game for everybody.
I mean, I'm watching the gameplay, John. If this is a AAA game, they already effed up budget. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Like,
I do think there's a cool element to the art, though. It's like that site that we used to go do custom minis on.
Oh, yeah.
Hero Forge.
Hero
is
Forge.
That
I think
what
that's
it was?
it.
Yeah. It's like watching your Hero Forge creations fight.
Yeah, and they have this movement. Do you remember? So the Dragon Flight cinematic, the stone dude that wakes up 10,000 years later and has to fix the beacon and all that. The way he moved, it was like the rocks had to kind of catch on themselves to rotate and that kind of thing. That's how these little dudes move. It's cool. Like, it's like your miniatures come to life. The aesthetic value here is pretty cool. But I'm not going to go do your freaking crypto shit. And Bo's right, for somebody else. I hadn't looked at it that way. I think you've actually cleared this up a bit for me, because everyone's asking, well, who's this for? Well, gamers think everything's for them, right? This is for somebody else. This isn't for us.
You're gonna hear a whole bunch of homophobes be like, "Why is there transgender people in Dragon Age?" Well, it's not for you. Go play a homophobic game.
Yeah, we got lots of those.
Like leave. Like, it just wasn't made for you. Like, it's fine. Like, not everything is made for everybody. Yep. You just can't. You please everyone, you please no one. So, anyways, looking at this NFT thing, and it's like, okay, like, I think it's the stupidest thing on earth. And yeah, it looks cool what they're getting, but I'm so busy with games. Even if they made it for me, I'm not playing this. I got like 500 games. Like, it would have to rise so high to get my honest, undivided attention that I wouldn't play it anyways, probably.
Yeah, kind of where I'm at. Well, we go from that terrible. Oh, the other weird thing about it, just to mention, I kind of alluded to it, but no fanfare, no expectation. Nobody said anything. Nobody said, hey, this is the date it's coming. They just quietly put it out. Just wait, here it is. Like, nobody, and then the only places that noticed it were like, news sites that were paying attention. So I think that maybe tells you a little bit about where their heads are at. I think they know that this is still kind of a stinky, touchy subject matter for mainstream gamers, and they figure if anyone's going to play it and mean it, then they'll get those people regardless, because, like Bo said, they're a different category. So
you probably recommend that Fantasian anyways, which is not the same as this, but similar kind of deal. You're going to get the same, like, stop motion experience and all that, and it's not NFT.
No, that's true. I don't know. I want to. You know what I want? I want 6 months later to hear how it went. That's what I want.
Also, there's a game I bought years ago that I still haven't tried that is a lot like this. I think it's called War Tiles.
Oh,
You
I
might
have
played it.
that. Yeah, that's great.
Not War Tales, but War Tiles.
Yeah, War Tiles, and you're basically
trying to
moving
search
miniatures.
it in Steam, and I write. Oh, it's just not plural. It's War Tile.
Oh, I thought it was Tiles. No, okay.
No, War Tile, and it's literally. I mean, it was released 2018, so it's a little more on the dated side, but it's pewter miniatures on a battlefield. I need to play this.
I feel like it was in early access for a really long time, and then finally came out. But it has this great look. It's like D&D style like, rules and dice rolls and all that stuff, and you're moving around on a grid, and you can collect them, and there's a campaign. It's very cool. It's got this tilt shift camera thing, so everything feels like a real miniature. But the only thing I didn't like about it is the characters don't really animate. They just sort of lean into each other and fight. Like
right.
It's hard to explain. It's just not very.
No, I know what you mean. So, but still, I'm just saying there are also options for if you like the look of this. No, it won't technically be this, but you have to ask yourself, do I really want to get into cryptocurrency just to play Champions Tactics?
No, the answer is no.
Gryboria Chronicles, and it's like, no, sorry.
Yeah,
no thanks.
Probably not. The thing about it that people will be attracted to is the collectability. So if those two demographics Venn diagram into each other, crypto guys and collecting nerds, then I suppose you've got a winning combination here. I don't know. NFTs, what are you going to do? Path of Exile 2, John, bad news. You were really starting to love that game. You were looking forward to the December alpha, or early access date, rather, release date. You're not getting that now. It's now being pushed to December. Or no, I'm sorry. That was supposed to happen, let's see, November 15th.
November, yeah.
So they pushed it not quite a month later. And most people are fine. The guy, the CEO of the studio is acting like he's doing kind of a Yoshi P thing. Where it's like, oh, I have bad news.
Well, sure. You know, if you announce something, get people excited. I think it's good for creators to be like, you know, we didn't meet our goal. Like, you know, I can think of a couple projects that haven't met goals that maybe you'd like to see a little more humility from, rather than, well, we put out another Starship that you can spend $3,700 on.
I was gonna say, what could you be talking about? I don't know what that is.
But
weird.
You know, like putting your head down and being like, yeah, we didn't hit it. I'm 100% okay with this. You know, I hope Path of Exile 2 is awesome. I really got into Path of Exile 1. Thought that was a breath of fresh air, and I think getting in on the ground floor for 2 sounds awesome to me. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's looking like it's going to be really good, and yeah, I'll just play it in December now.
Feel like here on Core, we are pro polish your game and take the time you need here. I don't think we're all about you rushing shit out.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Rather than play it and go, look at how all the broken things with it.
Did you watch the message, John?
I did yesterday, but yeah.
No, I haven't seen the message.
It was pretty well done. It was the game director saying, "This one's on me, guys." Like it was not. It didn't seem very scripted. It might have been scripted, but
it felt legit to me.
He said it was specifically the fact that they're unifying sales across Path of Exile 1 and 2, and so there's just translation issues and garbage data and their gigantic old database that they need more time on. And it was like, oh, yeah, it makes sense. Like they very specifically said whose fault it is, what the problem was, why they needed the more time. And it was just like a 2-minute YouTube video. It wasn't like some big, long, pedantic explanation. It was just like, yeah, hey, sucks. I know you guys booked off time for work for this, but I need it to be good when it launches. So there you go. I thought it was good.
Yeah,
it
felt
that's
very
what
genuine.
I love. That's why I like when Yoshi P talks. That's why I like that sort of stuff. Just, I know gamers, the collective term gamers, are a group that can be a bit much.
Yeah.
To say lightly.
What?
But I think that when
what are you talking about?
When you treat them like adults, sometimes you get understanding and adult behavior back. It's incredible.
Yeah, when you don't pander to people and say things like, "Hey gamers, we hear you." Like, just talk to us like people. You're people, we're people. We should be able to communicate.
Are you saying a nice, honest, sincere video about the problems, like we were a member of the staff instead of some weird JPEG?
Yeah,
is better.
Yeah. I think he's right.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's still going to be people that are like, die, you know, like, but it's a big enough audience. Anytime an audience is big, you're going to get a couple of bad eggs, and the bigger the audience, the more bad eggs, and they're usually the loudest bunch.
And
you
they're
know?
You
and
bring
they're
up a good
tiny
point.
percentage. Tiny percentage.
I think
people.
the worst people are probably we don't see them. The direct message people that just like you said, email die no matter what somebody does.
Yeah.
Because they're out there, and it's like it's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
sad
hey guys, look at this pretty rock I found today. Kill yourself.
Yeah. Kill yourself.
Okay. Wow. Thanks. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought this rock was cool. I thought I'd share it, but I think that it represents a small portion, and sadly, as we mentioned earlier, we think gamers tend to think everything is for them. So you have a very wide audience and market of people criticizing every single decision.
Well,
Obviously, there's going to be some bad faith people, but I think overall, talking to people like adults, saying this is why we had to do it, this is what it is, and letting people be in the know is a much more positive thing than ambiguous JPEGs and or saying nothing.
Yeah.
So
I'm still waiting for my
them.
apology that there's no Mephisto in Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred.
Well, it's coming. You watch. They're going to do a heartfelt video in a chair somewhere, just a camera on the guy.
Fireside chat. I'm gonna write it a question in the next fireside chat.
Yeah.
Where's Mephisto? Where's Mephisto?
Yeah, where the hell's Mephisto?
It'll just be that monkey meme going around. Where Mephisto?
What if their video is just Bo, your mom's Mephisto, and then they just get up and leave? What if they do that? What if it's just rude?
Might get a good laugh out of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it on the show. It'll be some content for me. So
Yeah, no, I can't. I mean, that PR is good or bad. That's PR. You can bounce off of that. Well, anyway, Path of Exile 2 pushed to December. Check it out. The 6th is now the date, and we'll keep you informed. Game preservation took a hit as the DMCA exemption is shot down. If you haven't been tracking this, mostly I get this through. I talked to Tom Merritt about this a lot because he follows this DMCA stuff really closely. But basically, the Video Game History Foundation decried the lobbying efforts of rights holder groups that have impeded proper efforts to archive old games at libraries. They think they're different, fundamentally different than a book, for example, and therefore do not have those same protections as you would have a book at a library. Basically, what the industry wants is, I don't want people going to the library and just checking out a video game for free. We want to get paid for that video game, no matter how old it is. And
87% of them are unpublished and not republished.
Right. That's
Still,
that's
you
true.
still can't have them.
Yeah.
Because you only have so much time. You need to play stuff that's current and not stuff that's free.
Yeah.
Because, imagine if all those games were available, Scott, you could theoretically just play video games for free kind of forever because they'd still be releasing new games, but then at a certain point they do become abandonware. So every year you're getting new abandonware titles.
Eventually,
as long as you're happy playing games that are 10 or 20 years older, every year you've got in theory new games, and they're wrong in their fear, but they're not wrong technically. I think technically there's an argument to be made that all the old stuff could, because you only have so much time to play games, you will not have time to be purchasing new shit. In reality, that doesntime happen. In reality,
look at my Steam library and the insane percentage of games I own that have 0% playtime to find out that I'm going to still buy video games even if I have access to many video games.
Yeah, it's also
what I'm saying. Yeah, what we're saying is the games industry is lucky to be making as much money as it does because it doesn't deserve the money it's making right now.
Yeah, my beef is that this is fundamentally not that different than the books. So you're not that you're making this argument, but your argument that they may use, which is eventually you just get all games for free if you go to the library long enough. Maybe you start 10 years ago, but you build, you slowly are playing every game ever made and you never paid a dime. Well, that's true of books then too. It applies the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's been like that for books for like 1,000 years, maybe not 1,000, but 500. Or like libraries have been around forever. And they have, in theory, been cutting into capitalists' earnings forever. And you know what you say to those people? Eat shit. And I don't know why, they're winning. For some reason, I just think, again, it's a lot of people in positions of power to make legislation that have no idea actually how to think about these things. So, of course, the corporations are going to win because if you make it sound like theft, it becomes theft.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. Like literally, it's if I go to the library, it's not stealing; it's the sharing of knowledge and history. And gaming is arguably the same thing, given that they're snapshots of the time that they're in. Maybe we're still a little too early for this enlightenment, but it will not like judging by, again, like John said, just going to take the word, just going to copy his answer completely. I've bought so many stuff, so many games,
So many stuff. Yep.
that I have not played, that the gaming industry does not deserve. And judging by the people in our audience who talk to us, it's the same for them. That they buy shit, the industry as a whole has made so much money off of value they have not provided, that they are living in a cloud of like self-disillusionment about what is right and wrong. So they can eat shit. They can all eat shit on this one. They're wrong and stupid, and hopefully there's still going to be pressure, and it's not just going to be the end of it. Because
back to the library model. If I am somebody who donated a copy of Gears of War 1 whenever that came out, 08 or whatever it was, let's say I donate that in the same way I donate a copy of a John Grisham book. That's what libraries do. They don't just go out and buy new books. They get donations. They get grants. They get other ways of getting these books. But a lot of it is just straight up donations. We just took a giant box to our local library full of books that we don't need anymore. And they're going to put those on the shelf, and they're going to have kids' books that they never had and all this sort of stuff. The same would be true if I gave that Gears of War disc and case to this local library, and they put it up on a shelf, and it's available for people to check out, use, bring back. I don't see any difference between those two things. And in fact, that disc is less valuable than that book is that I gave them, because that game is long out of print, long out of everything. There's no collectible value to it other than a couple of bucks, because it was mass produced in a way that made it not very valuable. Like I don't understand the argument. So you know what, Bo? I sign up for your eat shit campaign.
They need to eat shit. Let's go even further, okay? Because this is a new gaming news show. All right. How many times have we covered objectively successful games that the shareholders at the stock that the C-suite of companies have gone to their shareholders and been like, "Sorry, Final Fantasy 16 is the biggest piece of shit in sales we've ever had." Like, so they're double insulting us. Don't go to the library to get stuff, but that thing that sold really well and is like critically acclaimed, it was also garbage.
Yeah.
So I don't trust them at all, because their idea of success, like they're like this bottomless pit, the stomach that no matter how much you feed it, it's always hungry.
Yeah. And
so like how do you reconcile? Well, I'm always hungry, so I should always have food. Mm-hmm. And now you're taking you're taking my ability to put food in my always hungry stomach by having a library. And it's like, we're going on a diet, buddy. Like you're trying to make too much money.
No, that's not even a diet,
someone
though.
Say that, and it's like, oh no, I'm a communist now because I'm telling a company they're making too much money. Oh no. But seriously, what do you need that money for? You're making video games. You're not solving world peace or curing cancer or even providing food and important resources. It's entertainment. If you're making good money, great. But half the time, you use it to buy yachts and not to fund better games, which is a lot of the pretext, even for Blizzard, that we happily sent money your way. Mm-hmm. So if you're not even going to do that, then fuck y'all. Like, just big capital F, fuck you. And yes, we want libraries and free games, and do better than what's in the library. Thank you.
Also, the scenario where they need to put food in their mouth is such horseshit. They're over there. They're eating a giant steak and saying, Wait. That little tiny nugget over there that I dropped 20 years ago, do not let that guy eat that for free. Like, what?
Don't give that to the Shepherds of Good Hope. Throw it in the garbage. Throw it in the garbage. Do not give it to poor people, even though they'd happily eat a floor nugget because they're starving. Throw it in the garbage, please. Because otherwise that's McNugget infringement.
I'm annoyed. I hate this.
Yeah, no, they're full of shit. This whole thing is full of shit. If you're on the side of them not doing it or rationalizing it, you're also not smart. You've benefited. There's a library in your school. You've benefited from the freedom of knowledge and books, and to be entertained. You're allowed to be entertained. And the gaming industry sitting on this stuff like they're wise or like victims. Like, go just eat 1,000 pieces of shit and then barf the shit up and then eat the shit again and then shit it out and eat it again.
That's like double baked beans or whatever. Double eaten shit. or something.
Yeah.
Well, here,
stupid. Steve. There's better things to do with your time, like maybe release the game in a proper state than block legislation for libraries. Like so lame. Like you look so lame.
all right. So to clear these feelings out of our hearts, I would like to, before we move on to the next thing, I'd like to give you guys my impression of Dr. Manhattan's scrotum. You ready for this? Look at this. Look at that. Do you see it?
What? Wait, why are we talking about this?
It's to clear your mind after all this anger.
This is non sequitur. What?
It's to make you realize that those guys are effers. They can eat shit, but now we take a small mental break and we look at Dr. Manhattan's scrotum. Look at that.
Oh, you're just trying to cut the tension. Okay. Too many F-bombs, too much eating shit.
Just so people know. And also, how you do this is you buy these, I don't know the name of it. But anyway, you use it to clean
Dr.
keyboards.
Manhattan scrotum is a great palate cleanser is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. And all this is for is you lay it on your keyboard and you get dust and dirt out of there. But I like it as Dr. Manhattan scrotum. He's tired of humanity. He's going to Mars and he's just going to sit there.
I'll be honest with you, Scott. It is mesmerizing.
It's pretty great,
That
right?
is a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I think we need a new ASMR.
Hey, I just found out there's
an idea for a new ASMR video on your channel.
I found out you can do it with Shrek stuff. Why can't I do it with Dr. Manhattan scrotum? Right?
Did you watch any of that, John? The Shrek ASMR movie?
No.
It looks
I'm sorry,
terrible.
I didn't watch any of it.
I don't know why people enjoy that, but it's got 1 million+ views. But
I won't lie. I'm kind of interested. Can I hear what she says? Here, hold on. Let's just hear a taste.
It's all whispered, but she does it in the accent.
Recreation of Shrek was recorded.
Skip ahead. There's a bunch of.
I want to hear Donkey.
Okay, here we go.
Yes, exactly.
Next, lousy 20 pieces.
Hold on.
I guess that's cool.
Okay.
Because you just break
Where's Donkey?
Shrek. You think that Shrek is your true love? Well, yes.
I hate this.
Look for when she's green. Look for when she's green.
Oh, I see her being green. Here's
she does the accent. She's like, "Donkey."
Oh, she does. All
What
right.
are you? Yeah, she does it full in the Mike Myers like Scottish. Like, what are you doing over there, Donkey?
Okay, so I'll play that pit.
Somewhere.
Here we go.
Oh, for the love of mate.
Okay.
Hey, what's your problem, Shrek? But you gotta kiss the whole row anyway.
Okay.
What? It's a compliment. Better out than in, I always say.
I hate this so bad. I've never hated anything more than this. I hate this.
It's the full movie. It's an hour and 30 minutes. It's the whole thing. You'll love
my
it.
gosh, dude. F this shit.
Can you imagine just Scott sitting through all of that?
No.
That'd be crazy.
No. That's a watch party you'll never get. You know what? The horror games, I'll do them. I ain't doing that.
Donkey, get the hell out of my swamp, Donkey.
Oh, I hate it, dude.
What if we did Shrek ASMR? What if we were like
No!
two on the gauntlet and we're like ASMR battle? Check out our Shrek ASMR.
No. I mean, I already think
Featuring Dr. Manhattan scrotum.
I already think John's dislike of all things Shrek memes is I kind of agree with him. I like poking him with him, but I agree with him. This is the worst. This is egregious. I hate it. So back to
It is borderline
Scrotum
criminal. I just believe in the freedom for people to enjoy what they want, but this really makes me question that principle, you know?
Yeah. See, look, it's like you can see almost like how they would separate the two nuts in his thing. Anyway, let's put that back in there and never look at it again. Let's move on to this story. Red Dead Redemption hit digital stores. Did anybody get it? This is just kind of a little PSA.
Not yet. I will.
I will too.
I'm broke right now.
It's reviewing well.
I'll grab it next month.
90,
save your
92.
money. You don't need to buy it. Speaking of games you don't need to spend money on.
Yeah.
This should be in a library.
Yeah.
No, but I asked for this for so long on PC. I do have to buy it.
Yeah.
It's like a job.
It runs really good. The game's 14 years old, so you're not going to have, some modern touches and stuff, but it's one of my favorite games of all time for a reason, and I will get it. It's in the 90s percentile review-wise. That's good. Seems like they did a good port here. It took them way too long, but here it is. Came out 2 days ago. So, no, yesterday. Yesterday?
No, it was...
Oh, 29th.
yesterday?
2 days ago. You're right.
Yeah.
2 days ago. I'm curious what people think. So write in and tell us of your time in the Red Dead. The final, 14 years later, finally got your damn game on the platform you wanted it on. Also, if you're looking to spend some money, John, this is not for you, given what you just said. But hey, Atari's customizable retro gaming PC is 50% off at Amazon right now. This thing is normally $400. It is down to $199 temporarily. That's the Atari VCS all-in-one bundle. This thing will play moderately good-looking PC games, but also a bunch of retro stuff. It's loaded with every Atari game you can think of. Comes with a traditional stick controller like the old school 2600, and comes with a joypad, modern one for more modern games. But Brian Dunaway, my friend and co-host of the Play Retro Show, loves this thing. He thinks it's great. Now, he's also positive about everything in life, so take that for what you will. But he thinks it's a pretty cool little device. It looks neat. This seems kind of neat.
You don't think so?
I think it's kind of neat. I mean, I don't know.
We know it's a flash drive with a USB port.
Sort of. It's also capable of running a lot of PC stuff, like regular PC games. It'll run Windows and Linux and all that. So it's capable, and I think at $200 is probably like well worth it. But I don't know.
He got a Commodore 64 too, didn't he?
Yeah, he's got the Mini and the Maxi. The Maxi one that just came out. It's like full size, working keyboard and all that stuff.
That made me. I had a Commodore. Well, I didn't have one. My grandfather had one. I used to play on it.
Yeah,
that really brought. I didn't even see it mentioned forever, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, he's gonna try to program some basic game stuff, like make his own little stuff. Yeah,
print "Hello World," print space quotation "Hello World" space.
Sure,
and I can do quick basic. I remember my quick basic.
Yeah, do you remember it enough to like right now you could make a little Starfield simulation or something?
I don't think you can make Starfield and
not Starfield, but I mean like like the.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I could probably draw like a few stars and a ship and movement. The frame rate probably be terrible. Well, on current day computers, maybe it's fine. I don't know how it syncs up with frame rate. I think that's one of the things you don't have control over. But I'm sure I could do something.
I could make Starfield in BASIC
in a weekend.
Just whatever prompt is put in, you have it output now loading.
Yeah. That's right. Unfortunately
you'll just make a loading screen. Gotcha.
Yeah, just a giant loading screen.
That is the ultimate game that said, "Hey, we are the first game at Bethesda to require an SSD drive. Do not bother putting this on your regular spinning drives; it will perform terribly. But also, these are some of the worst load times you'll ever experience.
But also, we have loading screens.
Yeah.
Like, what the?
It's that part I will never be happy about. I don't understand that." Especially
I know the big thing about SSDs was like, oh, there'll be less loading screens because we can pop in on the fly because they're fast. It's like, what are you guys doing?
I bet if we had inside info, it would be we're still using so much of the original like Skyrim engine or the engine that became Skyrim's game that they just they're just making old shit.
I think that the appropriate slam dunk is just to show them Cyberpunk and go like.
Like load times nothing in that game.
Maybe between planets, but like with buildings, like I understand galaxies big. Like we're not gonna render the entire galaxy. That makes sense, but on a planet basis, the buildings, come on.
I'm not trying to make the argument for zero loading screens in video games. I do agree that the criticism that there were too many is an accurate one.
It is.
Yeah, too many. Yeah. Not zero, but just too many.
We should be well past it, and we're not. And it's weird that game's one of the only ones to show that. But also, an engineer at Blizzard told me once that he thinks the reason that game ran so slow or had so many load times is because Bethesda still thinks it's important that every single little cup, pencil, piece of paper, chair, computer terminal, all of these little things that you could actually pick up, put in your inventory, move around, toss across the room, that seemed innovative in 2010. They still do that. They track every single thing. So those load screens are going, all right, not only are we loading from this city to this city on the same planet, but that room is full of these little items, and we got to go make sure they're all either in their place or if they've been moved by the player, they're wherever the player moved them to before we send them there.
There's a lot of overhead in terms of objects compared to most games.
Yeah, unneeded overhead. They don't need all that shit in that game.
Especially when anytime you customize your ship and you change your room, it throws everything you had in that room into storage anyway.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The ship doesn't even adhere to those rules, right?
Again, I'm not a software engineer, so I'm just talking to my ass, but Cyberpunk has stuff you can move around, and I'm pretty sure they load in, load out of the background in like a certain radius, or if they're in view.
They do a really good job of it.
They do a lot of tricks. Like one of the things you'll notice when you're on a highway speeding is you'll have cars around you, but the actual red lights you see farther down they're not cars. They're just JPEGs or like 3D-ish looking JPEGs with some tricks to it.
Yeah.
Because when you pop in close enough that you should see the car, sometimes the car doesn't appear because it's just for vibes.
Yeah. Just
You
to
know,
look
and
like
so it's
traffic.
like so it's like I'm sure there's tricks to having like this magical circle around you where objects will unload and still save to the game state, like, but not live in RAM kind of thing or something like that, especially with an SSD. I'm sure there's a way around it. Maybe it's still the sheer amount of objects like that, and that still makes sense, but I don't know.
It's like
I,
I was watching one of those Thor videos, and he was saying back when Professor Putricide, the fight in World of Warcraft, I think that was in Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah. Yeah.
When he would roll, when he finally came out to fight you after he sent all his minions after you, and you would defeat them, the final phase of that boss fight, he would come out and kind of walk around. You have to, try to. He was more tanking, or not tanking, but he was kiting you instead of the other way around, and it looked weird. And he said it's because everything up to that point, if you wanted that mobility from a boss, they had to be a vehicle. Essentially, the vehicle status in the game was, like a tank or a ballista or something. And basically he's a reskinned one of those with some invisible panels. And so it looked like a dude, but it was really just a tank moving around.
Oh, so they can achieve the kind of movement they want.
Yeah, and they can't do it. Now they have all kinds of rigs in there that's not a problem. But back then there was no way to do this, so they had to fake it. And when you beat him, he falls apart in a weird way that doesn't seem natural. People are fine with it because whatever, I got my loot. But he was talking about how that whole thing was just like this weird rigged up vehicle
That's
item.
Funny. Yeah, it makes sense. Like that's one of those hacks you put together when you can't like start from scratch.
Yeah, I actually really like that about the process because it's interesting. You telling me about those lights, that's freaking interesting. But Bethesda saying, well, it's our engine and we can't do anything about it. Like, whatever. Starfield, it was so ambitious and he had this in his head for so long. Like, I think he cries at night. I think what's his name?
Todd Howard.
Todd Howard sits in bed and goes, that's not what I wanted. That's not that's not
You don't think he's happy with it?
I think he's loaded and has money and will never be totally unhappy. But I'll bet you, if you could be honest with him, the world ends tomorrow, John. You and him are the only survivors, and you're in a van trying to make your way across the country to find other survivors. And he's got nothing to hide. Money means nothing. Reputation means nothing. He would break down and tell you that it wasn't. Starfield did not do what he.
Yeah, I'm inclined to believe that too, based on the story we're going to get to about Arcane as well. Because Bethesda, Todd Howard isn't Bethesda, not by a long shot. This is like ZeniMax,
not anymore,
and a whole pile of other people.
Yeah.
So he's on there as a game director because that sells the game. Even if they told him you could just show up in the office and do nothing, we need your name on the product.
Yeah,
that's like his status in the company, really.
Yeah.
And a lot of game directors are arguably probably like that later in their life where they do a lot less because they have an army of people and, but their name still means something.
Yeah.
But like, you could totally be right about that where to me, this doesn't feel like the vision he was going for either. I don't know that. We have no idea, but
it just sounded a lot more ambitious before this. And that's always been true of him. Like he did it with Skyrim where he's like, you see that mountain? You can go all the way to the tip of it. And then people tried and they were like, no, you can't. You can't get up there. You were lying to us about that. So it's...
I think he's on the verge of being a new Peter Molyneux.
Good call. That's good.
But I think in general... I just think that the biggest problem with Bethesda games has been this like staunch refusal to evolve. Like, they were cutting edge, like innovative. You look at Morrowind to Oblivion to Skyrim, all of that. Like, they were doing things, and now it feels like they're reskinning themselves every time. And then hoping that other people will come bail out the shortcomings of their video games for them. And that's not how video games are made anymore. Like even let's take a look outside of Bethesda for a minute, because there are some people that are real staunch Bethesda heads and they get upset when you criticize their games. So let's go to a community that loves when you talk about their games and talk about World of Warcraft and MMOs.
Yeah, they never take issue.
You were talking to Greg Street.
Yeah.
And like his new game, one of the big things for his new MMO is, do we allow add-ons?
Yeah.
And like back in the day, like you want to talk about Burning Crusade Lich King era?
Yeah.
You would have been out of your mind to put out an MMO that doesn't have add-ons.
Yeah.
Out of your mind. People would have rioted in the streets.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I feel like the sentiment has changed and people don't want them by and large. Some people do. Some people want minimal or like some, but I feel like the conversation has had a very strong shift to like anti add-ons. And Bethesda, like, there was a time when their policy of like, we'll mod the game, make the game what you want it. That was great, and everybody was all for it. And nowadays, like, now people are like, no, make the game I want, and it shouldn't be on us. We'll do cool stuff, but give us a cool game right out the gate.
Yeah. I think there's something to that. The other thing I'm having a bit of an existential crisis with is maybe it's because of the conversation earlier, or maybe it's because we're about to talk about a similar thing here with Redfall and Bethesda, or just Bethesda in general. But the way games work now, the whole idea of the internet and digital distribution and broadband was a promise that you could do more with less overhead. In other words, you didn't need a publisher. So if you were a small team and you wanted to make a game of your choosing and you really wanted to put all your love into the thing, you might have partners in terms of investment, but you wouldn't need, in this magical future, all of this rigmarole, because you weren't worried about distribution channels like I got to get a bunch of discs in Walmart and hit a certain quota or whatever. It's different now. You can just digitally distribute this stuff. And maybe what we're seeing at this stage of things is the big, powerful entities, the Microsofts, the Sonys, the Activisions, the publishers, EA, they're huge. And we're starting to see that, wait, why do we need you again? What are you for in this? And up till now, it's like, well, of course you need us. How are you going to distribute your game? Well, that's chipped away. We don't need that anymore. Digital has overtaken physical sales. So, all right, now what's your excuse? Well, we got all the channels. We market it and we go out and we do the events and to some degree that's all true, right? But we as gamers are also online and we can find out what we want when we want. Like, there's a mirage going on, I think, sometimes. The mirage of the publisher is a needed monolithic structure, and it has to be there for especially the big titles. And the truth is, I don't think it does.
Well, and what an absolute shock that it mirrors the music industry.
Yeah,
and
same deal.
Seeing things like what we talked about, like this DMCA exemption not going through, like, who is the most strict and refusing to let music be shared and distributed freely? The record labels. Why? Because they had to find some way to justify and cling on to their power and their jobs.
Yeah.
Like, and we're seeing the same thing now with video games. We have a bunch of people with jobs that make a lot of money that are suddenly realizing that, oh, we don't have a place here anymore, really.
So we have to fake it.
how can we do it? Well, we can hoard rights, and we can hoard properties, and we can hoard IP, and we can lock it up, and we can go after people who try to share this stuff. And like, that's how we can make our money. It's going the same direction as the music industry.
Yeah.
And that's not industry you want to copy. Like, they're the worst.
Yeah.
The music industry's the worst. You don't want to go down that road.
That's why they vacuum up all the big studios too that achieve a lot of success.
So they hold them, yeah. So they keep
they
keep
hold
their
them.
grasp.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. And I don't think that's conspiratorial. Like, you're seeing the results of this, and I think that this might end up being a good thing. This crumbling, slow as it sometimes may be, right now a little accelerated, might end up being good. These people leave, they take their two best friends who they've been making games with, and they go, you know what, we just want to make games. Screw all this business shit. We just want to make games. We want to make ends meet and make the games we want to make. And if we make more than that, great. But we're going to do this. We're going to do it on our own. Then the focus switches to who really holds the power, and the power then becomes distribution platforms. So in the music side, you're talking like Spotify. They're the villains now. And when it comes to games, you might be talking about Steam or Epic or whatever the channel is which your game will pipe through. Where's the machine you're playing it on? Therefore, how are they getting it? So there's still some issues with that. But this middleman, manager, publisher business it's dinosaur, man. We should be done with that, I think, sooner than later. They're going to hold on for dear life, but you know.
That's why I said they bought everything.
Yeah,
And they continue to buy everything successful.
So that's what it is, isn't it?
Doesn't matter if they're going to make a game. Like, why would they close down studio? Like, why when a game fails, they don't just be like, well, we didn't have this one didn't work out. Like, let's keep working on it. Let's figure out what went wrong and let's make another one or make something, whatever. Half the time the studios get shut down.
Yeah, that's true.
They were never bought. They were never bought to shepherd in like that IP. No. They were just bought for control.
Yeah, basically. but that leads me to think that that's still not a failsafe for them, because what happens is everyone will then again realize what we've always said, and most people reasonable say, the video games business is the talented people who make the shit at whatever level they do it, all the way down to QA testers. That talent matters, and eventually, if Microsoft owns everybody, or whoever, wherever the monopolies sit, and there'll be pockets of them, the talent will leave. They're not locked in forever. Some may have some contracts for a while, but they're not locked in forever. The really smart, talented people will get the F out of there and do their own thing. And when that starts to happen, sure, you still own Blizzard, but where's all the talent?
No, the company is not the IP. The company's the talent.
Yeah.
So if you buy the talent and the talent leaves,
you got nothing. What do you have?
Well, they don't have nothing. I think the thing is it's still worth it because they sit on the IP that's still tradable. Like he said, like Scott, like John's saying, they're sitting on it to be patent trolls, basically, like to just squat on everything. And yes, they can pay, they can spin a nice yarn and say like, hey, we're going to make a new insert brand here game, and they'll have people who try really hard, but it'll come out kind of garbagey. But it's okay because it still might make enough. Or isn't, and we're going to see them all go the way to the dinosaur like you're predicting.
That's what I'm saying.
That's kind of what it looks like. Like everything we talk about in the past 2 years has been like, game sold well. Critics actually kind of liked it. They're like, no, this sold like crap. Let's not make any more. Like, I don't know after Redfall why the story isn't, hey, these guys were really great at making Dishonored. Let's just do Dishonored well next time. Like, no, let's close the studio. They shut down Concord. It's like you spent years building up a crack team of amazing people. This game didn't hit, but like, let's not put all this to waste. What else we got? What else can we cook up?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's, I guess, the one thing you can say that was a good move or good foresight on Blizzard is they turned Titan into Overwatch, which shouldn't be the exception story. That should be a normal story for like all these issues, and it's not. So I think like, they don't care. I think they've got their value anyways, even if they don't. Like, I think making money on the IPs is like icing on the cake. I think they buy it to squat on rights, and like what John said, like just feels really true. Like they're going to use it for something, and they're not interested in making beloved franchises, I think.
John,
I think, you look at video games and failure in anything. Failure is a better teacher than success. Like, why do movie sequels typically suck? Like, because success doesn't always breed the same level of innovation of what failure will teach you, right? Yeah. Like, if you fail at something, there's a lot you can learn from it. And if your reaction to failure is, well, we're never going to try again, you're not learning anything. If you're only going off of successes, you can have a stream of successes, sure. And you can learn things from successes, but at the same time, I don't think you're learning a valuable lesson. Like, I would be very curious. Like take all the criticism you've heard about Concord. I think a lot of it's valid. Like, whether you like it or not, a lot of the criticism of that game is spot on the money. But what would those people do if they took that criticism and instead of just being kicked out and sent somewhere else to try to make another success somewhere, they got to sit down and say, okay, why did Concord fail? And what can we do for our next project to be a success? Like, what can we learn from those failures? Let's look at the aspects of it. Okay, let's not we can't have a protracted development cycle. We have to get something out quicker. Let's roll back on the scale. Where can we cut costs? Hey, these characters weren't doing it for people. how can we design characters that are appealing and interesting that are going to get people excited about a game instead of looking at it and going, ooh, I didn't know those colors went together. Like color theory has been thrown out the window when I look at character design over here. Like they take those lessons and make a new game out of it. I would be infinitely more interested in what their follow-up project would be than for them to just close the studio and go, well, I don't know. Hopefully people find jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's well said. I don't know. Frustrates me. Part of me hopes that part of this business topples and innovation comes from everybody realizing they don't need that middleman anymore. And it may mean some IPs that we've never heard of, but we're always asking for those, aren't we? We're always saying we want new stuff. Sometimes I think we don't, and I say we, the greater we, don't realize that we're also suckers for this, you know? Like we want, ooh, I love that game. There's a sequel. I'm going to buy a sequel because I like the first game. Like we beg for new IPs, but we don't always do that with our wallet. So anyway, we're part of the problem. Speaking of which, X-Arcane founder says Redfall happened because Bethesda thought Dishonored and Prey sales sucked, so he left, and Redfall happened because Bethesda wanted live service games, which is a way worse outcome, saying closing the Arcane Austin studio is a dumb move, and I agree. But yeah, this is sort of emblematic.
The same thing, and this is Bethesda, where it's like, all right, guys, we know people like Dishonored and Prey. They're awesome games. People love them. But how about you don't make those or anything like it, you know, like,
yeah.
And the guy leading the company left. He's like, well, screw you guys. I don't want to work on a game I don't feel like working on.
Yeah.
Privileged for him that he's a founder and probably has financially can make that choice, where people who get employed somewhere might not be able to.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how that's an example of talent. It's like he's obviously part of the team of talent, and he leaves, and they make a game that is not in their wheelhouse, and their reward, well, they don't have jobs anymore. And let's be real, if the game had been successful, a lot of them probably wouldn't have jobs anymore anyways, because that's the game dev industry in 2020, in the 2020s.
Yeah.
So I don't even know. I honestly don't even know why anyone works in the game dev industry anymore. It seems like one of the worst, like software industry wise, and I've seen people comment, like actual software people comment on it, like they do it for the love of it because it's actually just a shit place to be right now too. So not only like are you losing talent, but isn't it easier just to get a job, say in database engineering, and then just play games like in your off hours, than waste your time making them for less pay,
or even making
only
them
to lose your
time.
job and tenureship anyway,
or make the next Baltro and do amazing stuff while you worked your day job, and then that thing took off.
Yeah, or that
success.
too.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
why not do that?
Even Einstein figured out some of his stuff while he worked in the patent office.
Yeah,
because he couldn't get a job as a scientist. Like you don't. People who work in game dev don't really need to work in game dev. Like that, you want to tell that to all the people making the financial decisions. Like you are very privileged and lucky that you're able to actually even attract talent, because in its current state, it's probably not a job to recommend to anyone unless you're doing it indie style or like spare time kind of thing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you're just brain draining the industry. You're crunching it to death. You're squeezing it. And you're, even when things are successful, you're treating the people in there like shit. So, you know,
something's got to give. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know when. I don't know what. I don't know if there's a moment. I don't know if there's a singularity to this, but something needs to change. Well, I'll tell you what won't change. Good deals happening won't change. And how do we know about that? Well, let's give it this right here. We got some deals for you. I'm not going to give you all these because there's too many to mention, but all the Halloween sales are on. Steam is having a Halloween sale, not just horror games, lots of stuff. So get in there and get that. Let's see. One that jumped out at me was Jurassic World Evolution 2 is a fantastic like tycoon game that I really like. I also like Chaos Gate. These are ones I own. I own too many of these. Anyway, there are.
See what I'm saying? They've gotten so much of your money, and you don't even.
Yeah,
you haven't played all of them yet. Like wow, it must be nice to be in an industry where people just give you money. It's crazy.
Truth. So anyway, that's going on. Also over on PSN, if you're a PlayStation owner and you're looking for a good deal, they have a ton of Halloween specials right now. Mostly horror based, but a few things that aren't, like, you want $10 version of Fallout 4 Game of the Year with lots of load times. You can have that. For the first time ever, Dragon's Dogma is for sale kind of across the board. Usually about $80 for the deluxe edition, down to $49.59. Lots of different price changes. Once again, your mileage may vary, but worth looking at there. And in Microsoft's case, same thing, but they call theirs Shocktober. Shocktober. Yeah. Pretty cheesy thing to call it, but anyway.
RE4 for only $20. That's big.
I know, it's pretty good, right? The original Dying Light's only $3 on Xbox right now. Doom from 2016 is $4. Give me a break. Holy crap, that's cheap. Let's see, not Borderlands. Where's the other one I was looking for? Speaking of Dishonored, which apparently sold like shit. What an amazing game, though. $4.99. So anyway, tons of stuff for you out there if you are interested in such deals. Go check them out. All right, time for us to take a break.
I think Prey sold like crap. I don't know if Dishonored did, but just in case, like,
and Prey is universally like lauded. That's an amazing game.
Yeah, I think it's a critical darling. I actually think Prey's the one that didn't sell spectacularly.
Isn't it crazy though that your games, the sales of a game that are genre defining, player motivating, important games, and that's but the big companies don't think of it that way. They think of like that's part of the reason you want to own Arcane, right? Why else are you buying Arcane?
Yeah, because maybe the next time they make something awesome, it'll hit.
Right. And if you're forcing
they made something
them
critically acclaimed, but it didn't make a ton of money or lost us money, well, let's do it again.
It's mind-boggling to me. It's just mind-boggling because
I think, like John said it earlier, it's the dev cycle too. It's not like you have a studio and you're like, okay, next year's game's going to be hot. It's like, well, see you in 5 years for maybe profit.
Yeah.
Like there's so much like that is like dysfunctional about the AAA games industry when you like really stop and think about what if you ran a business where you didn't know if you were going to make money until 5 years. Like,
intense.
like it's like, yeah, okay, well, that's where like an argument for like Unreal Engine or for software tools makes sense, where it's like, yeah, maybe it'll make those games more homogenous, but maybe we'll get them faster. And maybe the companies will be a little more stable financially, so the employees can be treated well. Like, but it's art. At the end of the day, it's art, and none of this stuff's guaranteed. It's very volatile, and it'll never not be that way, I don't think.
I always think of Phil Spencer and him coming out, and I buy into his thing. I do. But it's almost worse when things are, when there's layoffs at Microsoft or whatever. Because then I'm like, well, so Phil, do you feel this way or not? And are you being... Like, who's in the room with you now, Phil? Blink twice if you're in danger. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who do I trust in this business? Nobody.
Well, I mean, you can be, you can be a money guy and care about video games at the same time. And that's the thing you have to figure out with Phil is he has a job. We all I don't. I have my job's being a parent, but like
we have a role to play here though, because he's on the inside, so his perspective's from the inside.
But like everybody out there has a job, and I'm sure there are aspects of your job you like and don't like, and your fondness of video games doesn't change how you do your job. And sadly, I think that's probably true of Phil Spencer. And it's very easy for people at home to sit there and go, well, if he would do X, Y, and Z, it would be fine. But we're not in that situation. Like, I think it's shitty. I'm not trying to make excuses for him. But in fact, I'm actually kind of saying the opposite. I'm saying like, hey, it's fine to be like, yeah, he's a gamer like us, but he's also a money guy.
Yeah.
And being a money business guy means that he's going to make money business decisions. It's like a president that, a president of a country might have a like chummy personality and be like, oh, they're buddies. But at the end of the day, their job is also going to involve like war and espionage and a lot of unsavory things.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the job. Doesn't make it okay, Doesn't mean it's okay for you to go do these things, but understand that job requirements are going to sometimes do things that are going to be distasteful to people looking from the outside.
Yeah, for sure. Well said, all. We're going to take a break where we'll go shake off some of our disdain of the industry and then come back swinging with a Dear Martha and our week in gaming.
Still thinking about Dr. Manhattan's balls, no matter what you say. I mean, everything you say.
They're at the handy whenever you need
Shaking
them.
off and swinging, and it's just bright blue in my brain.
Yep, that's what he likes to do. That's why he goes naked. Anyway, we'll be back in a second. Stay tuned. We are now coming back. I got to make sure we're unpaused. We are. All right. Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's time for us to do a Dear Martha. Even though John is, at the beginning of what could be a nasty, cold winter thing, we're still
Bronchitis.
Bronchitis.
We're going to try it. We're going to see how it goes.
We're going to see how it goes. So all of that being said, John, we have one here from, I think this was from a listener, or did I make this up? No, this is a listener one. Says this, they didn't give a name. Fortnite gets a free map and a set of skins based entirely around famous battles and generals from the Civil War. How does that play?
Okay, so this person heard me say, I want you to challenge me. And they were like, well, let's see what his knowledge on the Civil War is.
That's a real challenge, yeah. I assume they figure since you're doing this Dear Martha thing, and we know that it's adjacent to that documentary about the Civil War, that you probably have a bunch of knowledge about the Civil War. And it sounds like maybe less.
Yeah,
You don't know.
okay.
You don't know about Colonel Fitzgerald.
No, here we go. Here we go. Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's not think too hard.
Plumb the depths of my Civil War knowledge. Here we go.
All right, here we go. Hold on. Is this even ready? No.
What about Colonel Francois Lemaitre?
Never heard of him. Is that Le Shit? Because Mayor to
Yeah,
shit.
I made it up. Yeah, it's Francis the shit.
Yeah, Francis the Shit. Everyone knows him.
It's Francois Lemaitre.
La Merde.
My dearest Martha, let me tell you about the Civil War. Now, I know normally I write about video games, but Fortnite has now decided apparently to brand itself on the Civil War. And, as I am an expert, I can assure you that it is definitely historically accurate.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They have a fantastic Civil War map based on the well-known battlefield of New Mexico, where many great Civil War battles were fought. None greater than when families were torn apart by one side, General Schrader, going up against the other side, General White. You see, they had been united through marriage for a time, but fallen apart as their family had been shaken by lies, deceit, and possibly drug dealings. And, well, Martha, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it was a bloody battle, and nobody won. Yours in this life and the next. Breaking Bad 52.
Yeah, famously, the war on drugs started at the same time the Civil War started.
Yeah.
And
in New Mexico. No,
The Schrader Whites were a big family that got divided.
Those people, they were wearing, what were they wearing? I can't think of anything.
They're wearing green and khaki, except for one lady wore lots of purple.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
I thought of trying to do the entire story, but I didn't think my voice was going to hold up, so I just kept it short.
No, it's all good. You could have gotten a
It's
pizza
all right.
on the
Maybe
roof.
there's a to be continued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Just
more to be
check
told.
in with the Schrader White Battle of New Mexico.
Well done. Keep sending those in, everybody. We love those. You had me at Schrader. Let's now dive directly into something that we did this week, which is play games. All right, giant thanks goes out before we even say anything about this to, I don't know if he wants to say his name, so I won't, but we have a friend in the community who was able to procure us codes for Dragon Age the Veilguard, and that was available to install today, so there was no pre-install for this thing. And I had a show this morning.
Not review codes, just an excellent community member.
Just an incredible thing.
Being super nice.
Yeah, it's very, very kind. It is Dragon Age the Veilguard. It is on my hard drive ready to launch. It is on John's hard drive ready to launch. And Bo launched it. No one else has had time yet because we're doing the show in the morning today, or sort of early today. We will be playing it tonight. So we don't have a ton to add here. But, Bo, you have some impressions of the initial sort of character creator and all that.
Yeah, we talked about this in pre-show, but let's put it out here for all to hear about. Which you want? Let's do critique one, the less salacious of the two.
All right.
Which is character creators. Please put your hair options early in the choice. Hair is one of the most defining things you'll do. It always sucks to work on a face and then pick some hair and go, this face doesn't go with that hair, and have to go back and redo the face. 9 times out of 10, hair is like a pinnacle option that is character defining. Please put it earlier in your options. Thanks.
Why do you suppose that is? Do you think, are we going to get a flood of emails saying, no, hair's last, always last?
No, because hair covers up parts that you don't expect, and you might spend a lot of time like, oh, look at the whatever a jowl is. You've spent time on a jowl, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And then the hair covers it, and you're like, well, now we spent a bunch of time on the jowl, and it looks different. I got to go back and tweak.
I get it.
So if I already had the hair, I don't got to do that. So time savings, first of all.
Okay.
And we're people who spend a lot of time in character creators, so this is appreciated.
Sure.
I think 2, the second one is beard. Beard covers up things if you have a beard character. We're going to get more into beards in a second, but that can also affect a face, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you're like, well, I think the face looks weird without the beard. But now that I have a beard, it's going to move the beard around if I contort it in a strange way, in a way that I like better. So that should just all be earlier. The hair, you know, and your facial features, it's part of the ensemble. It's defining. You know, look, I've got cat ears on today, and it's completely changed how people perceive me.
Yeah,
that's accurate. Yeah.
I don't know if it's good or bad, but it seems to have an effect. So, but you know, if I plucked a couple eyebrows, no one would notice. You know, so, yeah. So pretty much that's the first critique. Like that's not just BioWare. That's all of them. Please put hair earlier.
Yeah, that's every video game ever made where you create a character.
Yeah. For some reason, it's always the last, and I'm like, no, this needs to be earlier. This is crazy. Even before gender, almost just everything. Like hair is like the number one thing. Because also you want to test out the physics. Sometimes if they have great hair physics and you weren't going to go long hair, you might go long hair because the physics are just so cool. You need to see that first.
Oh, yeah, because if it moves like a piece of like a cardboard board back there, that's not interesting. You want to know if it flows and swishes and all that.
Like in Diablo, you're not going to spend a lot of time looking at the face. You know, you're in top-down view. You're going to see the hair if you got a hairstyle that flickers about, that adds flourish.
Yeah,
you want to know early. You know. So, anyways, the second thing, and this is where I got stuck on, because all right, so the intro movie is like Solus. He was an elf who trapped all the elfin lords into the Fade or something, and he imprisoned them. But now he wants to release them. Okay, that's the story. Make your character. And I'm like, oh, this is an elf story. I should roll an elf. So I cycle through, I find, and I'm like, you know, I often play girl characters. I'm like, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to play a male elf. And I'm inspired a little bit by John's interpretation of elfdom and Stanley Billing, who famously has a Colonel Sanders mustache sometimes, or a full beard. Always, there's some varying degree of facial hair in his depictions. He's never facial hairless. Sure. And that's what I have in my mind. So I'm like, I'm going to rock like a fancy elf beard. Like, this is going to be great. I love this.
Yeah.
Start making my elf. And of course, I'm making the face first. I didn't get to the bad news till later. So I spent a bunch of time thinking about what the face is going to look like and the body. And then I'm like, okay, he's going to have long hair, and he's going to have like a nice... Wait, why doesn't it say there's no facial? Is there no? I'm looking at where's the facial hair option? Oh no! And I haven't checked the other characters, so I'm like, I think maybe there's a bug, and they just forgot to put facial hair.
Sure.
In the game, so I go and I make a human facial hair.
Of course, yeah.
I make a dwarf facial hair. Now, note something to note here: if you have a body type with boobs, you can't put facial hair on. But if you have a body type, because they're not genderized, without boobs, then
they're
you can put facial hair
but
on.
no beards on one of those body types.
Yeah,
there's a particular body type that cannot grow
beards.
facial hair.
For a game that people are wringing their hands over about, this is so woke, or what, he's got pronouns. It's like, well, they're actually very old school about who can have facial hair or not.
Sure.
Even World of Warcraft, the lady dwarves have full ass beards. I don't know what's going on with Dragon Age?
Well,
to me, it seems like an oversight.
Well, remember, Wizards does not let you put beards on. You're not supposed to put beards on your elves. Now, John is a halfling in Stanley Billings.
Half elf.
Half elf. Sorry, not a halfling.
In Wizards, what?
Not Wizards. Sorry, elves cannot have beards in D&D. They're not.
That's not true. Yeah, you can.
They're in the rules.
In D&D, you can do. No, it's not. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Well, that's because you can subvert the rules and there's nothing you can do about it. But in a video
because
games
the
case,
DM's the ultimate arbiter of running the game. So if a book says something and I can just go, well, our group disagrees, we can do that. Then
exactly. So what I'm saying is, you need to spend a weekend modding beards into the elves in this game on the PC. That's what we need.
I guess so. So I haven't gotten to that part yet. I'm just browsing over the body types. Yes. I've confirmed male elves in Dragon Age are not allowed to wear beards.
Okay.
No elves can. Not female elves too. And I'm like, what is this shit? So I'm a little just hung up on that right now.
I understand.
I'm sure I'll live, but I keep playing.
If it seems like we're, again, just for those of you who might suddenly be paying attention from your second screen. Hello, John here. I'm talking to you. We're hung up on this because this is literally all we've played.
That's all we've had, yeah.
Veilguard so far. So if you're like,
that.
why are they so stuck on talking about character creator? It's because only one of us has made it that far so far.
Yeah. So we had to have something to say because we were very much looking forward to this game. I have. It's the only game I care about toward the end of the year. It's all I want to play. So I'm very much looking forward to it, but I didn't have time this morning to do anything other than install it. Neither is John. And Bo got that far. So we had to give you something about Veilguard today, all right? Or else the week would feel weird.
I will say, so I did see in our Discord a little bit of a discussion saying that maybe there was a throwaway line in the last Dragon Age game that implied that elves couldn't grow beards.
Oh.
I'm just going to say, like, look, this game is obviously trying to be inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
I think in general that is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whether that's your thing or not, like, that's a good thing. And if you're going to make an argument for inclusivity, I don't think you need to be so staunchly tied to lore to not give elves beards.
Or let me be the bearded one, and I'm the one elf with the beard.
Yeah, my character's important. I'm Captain Veilguard. I can grow a beard.
You're Captain Veilguard. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Already the protagonist of our good time.
It's just oddly one of those things because I'm very much pro LGBTQ visibility in fantasy games. Like I think it's cool. But I'm not going to play an elf without a beard.
You got to have a beard.
Like if I'm going to play a male character, I want a beard, please. Like there's not much reason to play a male character if I can't have some kind of weird facial hair deal.
You're one of those guys. Cool. I always wondered who did the crazy mustache and beard combos in any game. Really.
I mean, look at me. I'm doing real life too. I haven't shaved in like months. It's fine,
that's true. You do have quite the thing going right now. You could Santa Claus and shit.
I just and the hair actually looks like it animates pretty good in this game. So
from what I've seen, this game might have the best hair animation I've ever seen in a video game.
It looks pretty good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
If they flit around and flick around during combat, like that's awesome. But like, I'm not gonna go with like Crew Cut Joe. To play any fantasy game, like it's
so be a dwarf or a human or a.
Well, we'll see. I'm probably just going to play in Lady Elf because at least that way you got cool hair. I just kind of want to do the elf thing because it seems like elves are important. And when the dialogue options come up, when they're like, Solus is going to do this, I'll be like, actually, as the team party's elf, I know that Solus is a piece of shit or whatever. Like there's an RP element to it. So I kind of have my heart set on the elf a little bit. But yes, I would totally no problem playing a dwarf. I play a dwarf in World of Warcraft. So, I mean, it's fine.
He's all beard all the time, that dwarf.
But I want to play like I play warriors a lot, and I kind of was like, I'm going to play a magic user too. So the whole magic user elf thing. It's an archetype, right? Like you have this idea in your head, and now I can't execute on it. So now I've got to like think about. I may not get to playing tonight as I think about what character do I want to.
I had zero desire to play as a bearded elf, and then you put Stanley in my head, and I was like, I could play Dragon Age as Stanley.
Could.
And then you immediately took it away, and I was like, oh man.
Yeah, no mustache. Well, you're just a freshly shorn Stanley. Well, that's okay, isn't it?
And I also don't want to look like anyone in the rest of the Ocean's 11 team that you're like. I don't know if that's how the game's going to pan out, but this game has strong like Ocean's 11 vibes where you assemble a crew to do magic heists or something. I don't know if that's what it's going to actually be, but you know,
That sounds great.
I don't want to. I don't want to look like Brad Pitt if Brad Pitt's already in the movie. I want like a unique kind of slice of my own. You know, there's a couple of dwarves in the team already. There's like a Vincent Price guy. I don't need to look like Vincent Price.
There's a Vincent Price guy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look
Yeah.
at
he's like a gentleman necromancer is the best I could sort of. And he's got definitely like receding hairline and fine features. He looks like Vincent Price necromancer. So
Oh, there he is in the middle of this chair. Okay,
yeah,
I hadn't seen.
yeah. So
him.
you don't want to make like Vincent Price, like Timu Vincent Price necromancer when they've already got a well-designed, unique NPC in that role. You know what I mean? So I'm like. That's why I'm like, I don't really see like a male elf in this in this pile. So I'm like, cool, like I'll do the male elf. Actually, there is a male elf. Never mind.
Yeah, there is. I'm gonna be.
But he doesn't have a beard. That's
No,
why the
he
beard.
doesn't.
He's a
Yeah.
beardless.
You would
handsome
be
man.
the bearded elf, which would be important.
Yeah, I think
I'd
I'm
be
gonna,
the big elf Lebowski.
I'm gonna nice. I just watched that. I'm gonna be the. I'm gonna do the big horns. The what are they called?
Like
Nari?
Nari.
I love those guys. I think they're cool. So I'm gonna make a big dude, and he's gonna be. I don't know I don't know what my class is yet, but that's where I'm leaning toward. Which you know, whatever. Some people are gonna think that's dumb, but I like that class or I like that race.
I mean,
well, good.
like Rusty Dell's saying, Bo's already writing his own fan fiction. I do that for my characters. In Baldur's Gate, my first character was a blonde orc. You never see blonde orcs. I'm like a blonde orc. That's my whole thing. I got exiled from my tribe because they're like, ew, a freak, an orc with blonde hair. I'm like, that's awesome. I'm the blonde orc. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah,
Like,
that is
so I
kinda
like
cool.
coming up with like, even if it never referenced in game, I still have this concept that is like, you know, you're role playing. You gotta make. It's like you're the director of your own film and you're making your character. Like, who are you gonna play as? You know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. No, I get it. But also, you know, just so the world knows, this is all we've played. We have nothing else about this game
Right.
yet. But we will.
we're grousing about something really small.
Yeah, it's tiny.
because that's all we've done.
It's tiny. I am looking
Next
forward
week,
to it.
though, we
Yeah.
get our impressions.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! It's pretty much all I care about, except for raid and a couple other things. But I'm gonna very much focus on Veilguard between now and our next episode. So tune in then for more thoughts. And the reviews are pretty good. While it's got its controversies, some worth talking about, some not. It is doing pretty well overall in the averages, and a lot of sites giving it very high scores, and some places saying, "Eh." So we'll see. My guess is I'm going to really like it because everything I'm reading makes it sound like a kind of fantasy Dragon Age, or not Dragon Age.
If I had to predict, I think you
Mass
will
Effect.
be the most positive on it.
Mm-hmm.
Bo is a Bo. I can't predict. He's
I have no
unpredictable.
idea.
I
I
have
hated
no
Dragon
idea
Age
where
2.
he's gonna land.
Yeah, we don't know.
I strongly dislike Dragon Age 2. I didn't play Dragon Age 3, so I feel like this is a fresh start for me.
I
So
feel
who
like
knows?
I'm probably the most likely. If one of us isn't going to like the game, it's gonna be me.
It's gonna be me.
It's gonna be me.
All right.
But I don't want that to be the case. I've been excited for this game. I don't want anybody to think I'm going in with a negative idea, but like I've watched 2 reviews.
I think
One review was very positive, one review was very negative, and the thing that I liked about watching a good review and a positive review and a negative review is that I could see very easily how both those reviews could be true on top of each other. You know, it's sort of a case of like, hey, these are the things I care about and it does it really well. Awesome game. Hey, these are the things I care about and it does it very poorly. Bad game. My concern is that some of the things that people are being negative on are big issues for me. And some of the things that people are being positive on, I don't care so much about. That's why I think I might end up on the negative side. But I hope that's not the case because I've been really looking forward to this game. I friggin' marathoned a game to try and be free to be able to play it. So I really hope I enjoy it. I really hope I fall more in line with
I think the thing that's going to be your
mainstream.
biggest enemy, John, is that you played Metaphor ReFantasio before this. And
That is honestly, that could be one of the biggest issues.
you're going to be like, that game is my game of the year, and so this game This game's got big shoes to fill for you.
It does, and the things I liked about Metaphor are things that I'm not hearing great things about with Dragon Age. So hopefully they just feel like different tastes prepared well.
So
That's
it's
what
your
I hope.
fault for playing Metaphor.
It is my fault for playing Metaphor.
He'll take the brunt of responsibility for that.
I'm just joking. I should play Metaphor. I feel bad that I'm not playing it because it sounds like it's amazing, which I'm sure you're going to tell us about soon.
We will get there. Let's talk about a couple of games I played this week. First, these are small ones, so I won't spend too much time on these, but I played a game that I would describe as imagine the first move you make in Civilization and then
building a scout.
Well,
putting your settler down, I think technically is the first move.
Yeah, that's true. But also just like, here it is. I'm going to go for it, move a dude, make a thing happen. Imagine that, the game. And that's the game.
It's just the first move of Civilization,
yeah,
the game.
Yeah, I'm going to it's going to sound a little weird by that description, but it'll make sense.
No, it sounds like a bad game.
It sounds like it might be bad.
You that it's not as bad as it sounds.
It's not bad at all. I have a couple of beasts, but most of them are superficial. This is a game called ColdRidge, and it's a game about the Old West, although there is some mystical elements to it. There's like a growing, kind of a creep that grows, and you're trying to understand where that's coming from. So they decided to not just be strict, here's the Old West, and you're doing stuff in the Old West. It's a lot of that, but there's also some weird stuff, and I'm just sort of cracking some of that open. But anyway,
I see why you say that. It's because you move one tile at a time.
Yeah, you move a single tile at a time. Each move it's more, if anything, it's like a board game, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like a board game in a traditional sense, but you are on a grid, kind of like not grid, a bunch of what do you call these?
Yeah, hexagonal grid.
Hexagonal grid, yeah, like a 3/4 grid that looks like Civilization if you were just to glance at it. It has cloud cover for like kind of fog of war, and every tile unveils something that you might need, and the things you might need you take as quests from the home base from this guild you owe money to. And the guild master will give you a set of quests you can choose from. You can do 1, 2, or all 3. Sometimes there's more, and often in the world you'll encounter additional quests. And they're like
kind of sick.
It is pretty sick. Imagine them being as like bets, though. So if the quest is you need to find 6 cattle, and the tile will have like 1 or 2 or 3 cattle on it if you find one. You need to find some stuff with some trees. We need wood, and also while you're out there, let's see if you can get a couple of elk. Just as examples. Then you take those quests. And you try to solve those quests in a certain number of moves, and those moves represent amounts of time, 9 days basically, 9 to 10 days depending on how you spec yourself. And each move is a day, and it's all done in it's turn based, but it's in real time in that you're not waiting for anybody else. You just make a turn, you get what you get, you make a turn, and as you unveil the area, you may have picked up from before you left town, you may have picked up a little boost that will reveal a bunch more space. So you use that boost to do that, or to build a teleporter so you can quickly go back to this very like gold-rich area if you need it.
Yes, the famous Old West teleporter.
The teleporter. See, there are, like I say, there's some fantastical elements in here, but the goal is you got to pay off this big fat guy who runs the guild, and he's always giving you, these jobs. And then you can run into like a native, in like this guy just did in the video, where they also have another quest, and you might have already even accomplished much of what he needs, and that's all, you'll automatically fulfill that quest. So you're making these strategic bets based on how much of this you can do before the expedition ends, and that will end in 10 days. Sometimes you will take an item with you. I always try to buy one that'll give you an extra day if you need it. There's some that let you leap over. Some are permanent. Think of it as a roguelike. So there's like permanent boosts that affect your next run or whatever. It then turns all that land into stuff you own, and then you start again, and you work your way through the seasons, and by the time winter's over, I think you have a total of 6 expeditions per year. Yeah. This guy's got 4 left right now in year 1. When you're done, then if you paid off your debt, you move on to a more difficult but more rewarding next level with lots of new items and new ways to play, new augmentations, that kind of stuff. Or if you don't pay off your debt, you start over. So there's the roguelike element of it. But you take unlocked perks with you. So, again, roguelike rather than rogue light, whatever it is. What's the difference? Roguelike is
roguelike is like intense permadeath. Like
Right. Light is like
Rogue Light is like no permadeath. You have upgrades that carry over to make content easier.
All right, then I would call it light in that case.
Yeah.
It has the graphics are awesome. I love this top-down little 3D world where you're just traveling by horse to each of these zones. If you're not here in the live chat, you're not seeing this, but ColdRidge has this very nice vibe. There are mountains. You have items that let you cross through those mountains, and some, if you don't have that, you get stuck behind them. So you can imagine like all the little augments you'd get to do things. And the more of these things I should say this, when you fulfill your contracts, those pay out, obviously. If you have one that you've failed, you get fined for that. You don't lose the overall expedition, but you get fined for not fulfilling it. And they can be anything from you didn't bring enough dirt back to that's not enough gold or, whatever it is, and you'll get fined for not accomplishing your things. So you just want to be mindful about how much you take on and balance it with what you think you can accomplish and how good you are at seeing ahead and that sort of stuff. The vibe is really cool. The look is great. I love the art. All this stuff is rad, and it's a very fun loop. I got super hooked on this. Also, full Steam Deck support, controller support, all that stuff if you want to take it on the go.
Is there combat in this?
There's not that I've seen so far, but there might be. I don't know. I've only gotten to the second round multiple times and then died because I'm not great yet.
Yeah, like I'm watching the trailer and I don't think there's combat, but that's fine. It doesn't need to have it. Because this game, you know what it reminds me of is pretty much For the King without the combat.
Yeah, similar
like
vibe.
you're on a board, you move around. It's single player rather than multiplayer, but it's
right.
Hexagonal, top down. You have to leave town to do missions. And you come back and complete quests and stuff.
Yeah, it's exactly what you think it is, and I think it does it admirably. All the things you're doing.
The art, I love the art.
Yeah, the art's really neat, and it's
nice.
super chill. And you're just hearing like crickets at night, and in the winter there's wind blowing. It's just got all these nice little touches. Here's my biggest beef, and it's mostly a surface one, but when the thing starts and they start telling you how the game works in the little intro. You can tell this is made by a studio that is not actually in the Wild West, although they are clearly inspired by it. But this is the VO, and it made me laugh because so what it is, the camera pans down, big, beautiful scenery, mountains in the background, trees in the foreground, beautiful prairie, horse sitting there just kind of eating grass or whatever. Then sitting on a log is a dude with a hat and a guitar. He looks like Cowboy Man 101 sitting there. And then this is what it sounds like.
Hello, Lemmy. So, you're a prospector now. Well, there's not much to it, We just earn our keep by wandering this land find riches.
Okay, I'm not saying it's bad or that it's wrong or anything like that.
Hello, localization, my old friend.
Yeah.
Look, here's how I feel about this. This is wonderful, and here's why.
Yeah.
Because we, this is where Hollywood is. And we make a lot of movies and stuff here.
Yeah.
Americans in general have been subjecting the world to bad interpretations of their accents for a long time, and very rarely do we get to hear we get to hear it back.
Yeah.
Usually we get the opposite. Usually we get Hugh Laurie convincing everybody that he's an American, and then we hear him British and go, "Why do you sound like that?" Now. We finally get to enjoy what it feels like to hear people doing an American impression and it sounding not at all right at all.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful feeling. It's great.
I'm on the Frog Collective website because that's who made the game.
Yeah.
And it's a 2-person team. It's Aurel and Adrien.
Yeah.
I have a feeling they might be French.
Yeah, they seem like they might be French. Yeah.
Which is fine.
I could be wrong.
That might be their voices in the game.
Oh, I think it is. I think 100% it is. So, and it's only a little jarring at first, but then I also went in my head, you know what? The Old West was kind of an immigrant time too. We had a lot of people coming over trying to find the land, find the riches, find the gold.
Yeah, there
were
a lot of French people here.
Yeah. So, and you know what? It kind of works in a weird way. Also, the game goes some weird places. Like it treats you like you're an awesome, cow person. It's a woman, actually, that gets sent around doing this. That's who you control. But this guy's like your narrator that you keep seeing on the guitar. His name's Frenchie, which makes sense, right?
Yeah, okay. Well, they rolled it into the story.
They
Look
did.
at that.
They did. And I appreciate that they did. And then you try to go back, do it, beat your old score, and it's got a chillness to it, but also a strategy to it that is both engaging and chill, if that even makes sense. Just a fun little romp that surprised me and was inexpensive. I think right now it's on sale for under $12. I love little games by small teams, and this just scratching a certain itch for me. And it really does feel like I'm playing my favorite part of Civ early game, which is explore and find stuff and, accomplish some early game. I like that. And the game is that. And I also like the Old West. So big thumbs up for this one. I like it a lot. ColdRidge is the name, and it's available on Steam. I think that's the only place it is. All right. Then I played a game called Kill Knight. Yeah, that's right. Kill Knight.
That doesn't sound chill like the other game.
It's not at all. This is the opposite of chill. This is one of the most intense games. See if I can get to some gameplay in this video here. It's one of the most intense games I've played in a while. It's a dual stick shooter, and you are a combination of kind of medieval gun knight, and I don't know what to compare this to. It doesn't have very good comparisons, but you basically go to the bowels of hell to destroy its many minions and hopefully get to whatever end you're aiming for. And your dual stick,
definitely not Diablo 4.
Definitely not Diablo 4. Although, what I like about this is, so you might be confused. You see that stuff dropping? That's actually currency. This isn't another Survivor's like, which it can look like if you're not familiar with it.
Okay.
Lots of blood,
Looks
very fast.
Bullet hell-y.
Yes.
Like you said, twin stick shooter.
And
Looks
it's
cool.
hard, freaking hard as balls, but really satisfying and really fun. There's like the active reload thing in Gears of War that's in here. So there's benefits to doing that. You get more damage if you do it right every time. And you can tell that you did it right because your gun's putting out a higher rate of bullets. And also there's a brighter muzzle flash. So you know that you actually accomplished it. And I appreciate those kinds of touches because in the melee of it all, it's very insane. There's a dash button. There is a shotgun alternate fire. And if you run out of bullets, you can sword slice bad guys and they will refill your shotgun by doing that. And you just keep moving level to level, and you're fighting on these weird platforms that are kind of gothic and almost looks like a cross, this one. Well, it literally is a cross, but and you just keep going deeper into hell and fighting more and more and becoming a really great kill knight.
Do you have a lot of abilities, or is it just shooting the gun?
It is shooting the gun and see that big ability thing you just did? So you have some ultimates. How much variety is there? I don't know yet because I'm not that far.
Like that's some like screen clear. Like is it more like Geometry Wars?
Yes.
Or is it more like Diablo? Like how much ARPG is in it versus just you got shoot and screen clear?
You have between stuff you have unlocks, right? Essentially talent unlocks and weapon unlocks. A ton of that actually, but they don't make it easy. You have to like earn that shit, and I'm still very bad at it. I'm not getting far
and
enough.
What you were showing, it looks like he swings his blade to like clear in a cone in front of him.
Yeah, and that's for the shotgun reload. So
you've got a sniper rifle. So it sounds like you got a full arsenal.
Oh yeah. It's not just basic run around and shoot. There's a lot going on here. I'm just not good enough to give you real specific shit, but the shotgun I like quite a bit, and then slicing them to get shotgun shells back is kind of interesting. Also harrowing because you can really get yourself killed. The levels are always shifting.
Levels go down. Like
yeah, isn't that trippy?
It's smoothly transitioned. Like the floor just descended to a new level lower.
Yeah,
and then the walls change. That's cool.
I would call this hardcore dual stick shooter because it is not messing around. Yeah. The thing is like serious about it. It knows what it's doing. It's snappy. It's very fun on Steam Deck. I would highly recommend a controller. I'm sure you could probably do it mouse and keyboard because Bo can do anything with those. But I'm playing it on controller.
It might still feel. It looks like it'd feel better with a controller, just judging by how it looks.
Controllers are sort of made for this sort of game, but it's not too bullet helly, and it's not too not bullet helly, if that makes sense. Because sometimes that can be annoying. This game makes it so you do have tools to get around where you need to go. It's just like a skill test.
One hit death or health bar?
Health bar, but not a generous one. It's and look, it's got armpit lasers here, Bo. Look at that.
Oh yeah, we like that. Hey, we mastered the armpit lasers.
We did. In fact, not only we mastered, we freaking kicked ass on that fight. We'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, it's cool. It's called Kill Knight. I heard about it through a friend who said you got to play this. I don't remember who he heard it from. One of his favorite streamers was recommending it, and
Oh yeah, I'm gonna wish list that for sure.
I
That's
grabbed it.
pretty-
I really liked it. It's got a great vibe, and it's dark and it's cool. That's Kill Night, available now on.
Sometimes it's just what you're looking
Steam.
for. You press load game, and then you just get right into whatever it is you're doing, and
Yeah, it's really, really good.
good one to have in the arsenal. It looks appealing to me.
And a big up to John. Sorry, I like John as well, but Bo in this case, for recommending Timberborn, at least reminding me they had a new patch out that redid the water systems. And I thought, I haven't fired that up in a while. It's still in early access, but let's see what's going on. Man, Timberborn's great. That's a great game.
Timberborn is like, it's up there along with the greats. Like my favorites are Farthest Frontier and obviously Banished, because it goes without saying. But Timberborn and Farthest Frontier, like the ones I find myself clicking play on the most.
Mm-hmm.
The grid-based design is appealing, and it's just very easy.
Yeah, easy to get into.
Just so I can describe it.
Yeah, hard to master. There's like some automation aspects to it that really scratch that itch as well. And
well, the other two has like some hard elements where you can misplace things, but this one, it's very obvious if basically you're misplacing things. Like it's on the dead land, and the water's just fun. The only thing is, playing on harder difficulties, the drought can sometimes be tediously long. So I just like playing on easy.
Droughts are rough. Yeah.
Yeah, but so right now I'm playing on medium, and like the droughts last like 6 days, and my guys run out of food, and I'm still trying to figure. It's a fun challenge, but it can really slow down your progress when you're just trying to keep your beavers above water.
Yeah, and the beavers should annoy me because I don't like cutesy animal city builders. They kind of annoy me, and don't ask me why. I don't even know why they bug me, but this one doesn't. And I think it's
they're
because
not that cute.
They're not that cute, and they also lean in. Look at this whole building up here. This old human remains, and there's something weird and cool and apocalyptic about that. And I don't know.
The humans are all in the lore. The humans are all dead, and the reason why they have all the pollution is because of the humans.
Yeah,
who killed themselves.
Yeah.
So now is the time of beavers, and their society's a little different. But there's almost a Mad Max vibe to the world where like it's only healthy because of water, and as beavers we're masters of water. So I don't know, it's just everything just goes down smooth, and before you know it you're kind of vibing, like trying to, what's my next goal. Like it's a game that's very much set goals for yourself. Like the worst is once I get a hold of dynamite, and now I can start landscaping, because there's different elevations, but if you can have water on the flattest of lands, you can maximize the amount of greenery space. It's good for farming for food. And then I get all into it, and I'm just like, man, I've been playing this game for 20 hours.
Yeah, it's
doing landscaping. I love this game.
It's
so much.
overwhelmingly positive for a reason, and I support it. It's fantastic, and they're always doing updates too. So even if you're worried about the early access thing, they are meaningfully adding to it constantly. They're probably close to being done. But it's
even stuff like power, like in games, oftentimes making sure everything's wired and has power is a pain in the ass. This is just like put a water wheel in the water, put building next to it. You got power.
Yeah,
like it's just so easy. It's
they're not fiddly about where the little turn knobs go.
No, it's like it's still challenging, but it's just like it's not, like I said, fiddly like a lot of city builders about things. Like you can just drop stuff and go.
It gets out of your way.
Food. That's the only. You can die from lack of water and lack of food, so that's the only, and
it's not always clear about how you're getting new beavers. I assume it's from the age they have children. The older ones die.
So they can die for various reasons. I have had some population I've had my population gutted due to a drought. But like what you do is just prioritize food over everything else, and they'll grow back.
Yeah, you'll get them back.
But generally, if nothing catastrophic happens, there's no generational management. Like you'll get a young beaver to replace older beavers pretty much automatically. You don't have to worry about it too much.
Yeah, the game gets out of the way of like the things that feel tedious in city builders, and just let you have some fun, and then let you do new things that city builders don't usually do. Like this water management stuff is like wildly different than most of these games. They don't do
most of the city builders don't do the generational management. That's one of the more obtuse parts about Banished, is just if you have too many people that are too old to have kids and didn't like properly make sure you made some empty houses to put some couples together to have kids, your whole city could be wiped out due to not having kids.
Yeah.
And it's just a game over state. You got to roll back really far because you didn't manage your generations properly.
This game's all like, what if we took some of the best parts of Banished and then quit but didn't do the unfun parts, but also made it hard enough on some levels where if you want the harder bits, you can have them. Like, it's just a good balance.
There's no livestock or hunting as well, which is an interesting thing about the beavers because they're vegetarians. Like, it's all just like upgraded vegetables. Like, you start with carrots and berries, but then you get into grilled potatoes and grilled spaddock and making bread.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no like hunting game, which is interesting because most city builders, you have to build a hunter cabin and forager far out to like hunt for wild stuff, and they have important ingredients like grease.
Yeah.
That Farthest Frontier, by the way, has something I really appreciate that no other city builder does, which is soap and filth mechanics.
Soap and filth.
So like your people, if they don't bathe, they're unhealthy. So you have to have soap. You have to have soap facility, and then the soap gets distributed to all the houses. I just appreciate that soap is very important in Farthest Frontier.
Nice. I got to get back to that one too. But anyway, fantastic game.
1.0 soon. You can wait till 1.0.
Yeah, it's coming soon. Played a bunch of WoW too. There's a new patch coming soon. I have to get into that, but it looks exciting, and we are really doing well in that raid team, with the exception of the freaking slug boss. That thing's a pain in the ass.
We progressed heroic from 1 of 4 to 4 of 4.
Yeah.
Over the past 2 weeks, so you and Bobby missed a week. So basically, that counts as double progression because you guys had to do it for the first time.
Yeah, and we did it in single shots and got gear, and it was great. Really enjoyed it.
So, and the vault, I got a 6/6 heroic item in my vault because of that.
Oh, well, nicely done. I ended up getting a. So, you know, we all had our beefs about the mount and everything, the $90 mount last week.
You bought it?
I continue to have beefs about it. I still have tons of misgivings about it, but somebody gifted me one. After the instance, like an hour after the instance, I got a thing in my mailbox saying, "I love the show."
Can you say no to it, or that'd be rude?
Oh, hell no! I was taking. I mean, the thing is useful as hell. It's just not worth $90, in my opinion. Right. So if it is like 30, you might have me. But at 90, I was like, "Urgh." And I know we've had a million arguments about why it's worth it because it's compared to the old one that does the same thing. Blah, 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 blah. I know it goes on forever. The value of in-game currency, out-of-game currency, all this stuff. All of that aside, yeah, my biggest beef was just like, well, it's $90, and B, I don't know, it feels something about it felt skeevy to me. But what does not feel skeevy is accepting a gift from a nice listener who said, "Here, have a $90 mount that you didn't have to pay for."
True.
And what am I going to do? Tell him no? So,
it was offered in goodwill as an act of kindness.
Yeah,
I don't want to be rude about it.
I do. I only pop it out in places where no one's looking because I don't want to be, I don't want to act like Mr. Hotshot with a big.
Yeah, people can see that thing from space. What do you mean no one's looking?
I saw the funniest. There's a meme going around. Somebody 3D rendered the next one, which is the same kind of dinosaur skin, but it has giant wings and motors on it. So now this one flies, and then on the top there's a meeting stone for all dungeons and all. Like they got all these advantages on it. Start saving your money now.
I think that stuff's so silly. The auction, it's so easy to get to Dornogal. Like it's. Anyways,
it is a little. That's the other thing is I see people parked outside of the Dornogal auction house in the auction house mount doing his auctioning. It's like, yeah, that's a little like sitting outside of McDonald's and making your own Big Macs in a van, or something.
Yeah, basically something like that.
Anyway,
it seems like hardly the point, but sure,
it's weird. Anyway, let's get to John and his finishing. Man, you hauled ass on this, by the way.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, yeah, because I didn't want to be, we talked about Greg Street earlier. I just saw him post on either Twitter or Blue Sky. I don't remember which one, but he said, I don't know what to do now that I'm playing Metaphor and Dragon Age came out. Maybe I'm going to have to alternate which night I play which game. I don't have that problem because last night / early this morning, I finished Metaphor ReFantasio.
Yeah.
And
how long did it take you, by the way? How many hours?
100 hours.
Woo! Jeez.
On the dot. 100 hours.
Damn.
In that game. Now, a lot of it was spent grinding. I like to become too powerful in RPGs. It's one of my favorite things. Like, I'm having fun when I'm face rolling the game. When the hard content comes up and I'm like, yeah, no big deal. I'll just
I'm
take
like
care of
you.
it.
I'm same as you. It's a power fantasy thing. You've earned it. You've earned the power. Use it. I think that's
Yeah, I busted my butt to power level my characters way up. So I will say I was on NyQuil by the end of it.
great. Yeah.
And I don't know if that was great because I kept having a dream last night of the final boss having yet another phase. And I was
Oh,
like,
man, you're
oh
really
my
sad
god,
it's over.
I don't know what to do. Well, the final boss, it was a lot. I kept thinking I was done. And then like it was like, whoa, there's another phase. And I was like, well, now it's done. Oh no, now you gotta go fight a different guy. Well, why? Okay, well, that's done. Okay, well, now he has another phase again. Oh, now this is gonna change, and maybe there's another phase. It was just a lot, and I, that game is about mana management more than anything, mechanically within the battle system, like your ability to have mana and use it effectively. And when you don't know how many phases a boss has, it's a little scary because, like, do you burn that mana and go all in on the boss? Or do you hold back because you think there might be another phase and you got to have some in the tank for it? And I
Yeah.
grossly misjudged how much mana I was going to have by the end of it, but I got through it. It was fine. But what an amazing game. Like I really can't say enough about this game. The biggest strength this game has is the writing. The writing is complicated. It is a metaphor. Like it is very easy to take the things they're talking about in the game and apply them to the real world, like good fantasy or science fiction. You see a reflection of your own world within it, which is literally what this game is about at times. And it it just tells a complicated story, and even by the end, it doesn't do easy answers. And I really appreciated that it didn't just constantly hold your hand. Like it's an optimistic game overall. But like it's not afraid to say like, hey, just because you're a good person doesn't mean everybody likes you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, hey, congratulations, you're really nice. Some people like fucking hate you for no reason. And it's your job to represent them just as much as anything else. So I really liked the storytelling on it. It went really, really hard at times, and it just told a very compelling narrative through the entire game. There were some bits, uh, you know, between missions and big story beats, you get time to interact with followers, do errands, things like that. And they do give you a pretty big, sizable run to get things done at the end. They give you 30 days, and you basically can do 2+ major things in a day. And it was a lot of busy work, but I appreciated it because I went at it very much as well, I want to max out all my reputations in the game, or it's not really reputations, but like my relationships. I want to be, you get perks for them. Like the more, like if you're friends with the merchant, you're going to get better discounts in the store and stuff like that. I wanted to get all those perks. So I appreciated the time spent on it. Um, and then, yeah, the last dungeon is just an insane place where you can power level if you so choose. And I did. And eventually I had to just look at myself and go, Dragon Age is out tomorrow. You need to just go finish this game. Because I probably would have kept playing and maxed out all of my archetypes if left to my own devices. And that was completely unnecessary to do. So, but I would have done it. And
Does it
so
have a
I
new
just
game plus mode where that would have benefited?
they do to a degree. So there is a new game plus mode you can load from a cleared save. It has somewhat limited carryover, so you don't just come in as your level whatever character, but you do get to keep your equipment. I think anything you've unlocked in terms of your archetypes remains unlocked, so you don't have to pay to unlock those things again, because there's like kind of two currencies. There's a magic currency and a gold currency, and archetype stuff is unlocked with this magic currency. So I think you get those automatically. I think you get your gear. You'll get the more powerful archetypes, but I do think you start back at level 1.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you just sort of start. Yeah. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Do you feel like the story ended where you wanted it to be? I mean, you've praised it so far, but like ending wise, satisfying.
Yeah, I would say very satisfying. It for a moment I thought we were veering off into like really weird anime territory for a moment, and then it got itself back on track. I was like, "Uh-oh." There was a moment where like they pull back the curtain, they're like, it's not exactly this, but it's enough of this where if you know what I'm talking about, this'll make sense, and if you don't, it's not that big of a spoiler. But there was a moment where they're like, "You're playing a video game, and none of this is real or matters," and you're like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do?" You know, so I was like, "Are we gonna get into some real meta context, like step outside of this?" And the story very quickly reeled itself back in.
Yeah.
And so I think it was strong from beginning to end. It has a few, has a few lulls where you're doing busy work, and then I opted to do a lot of grinding, so that wasn't always the most exciting stuff, but those were things I opted into. I don't know how essential they are, but that's how I play games. So
Nice.
Right now, without a doubt, this is my favorite game I played this year.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say if we hold our conversation today, whether this game has it for you. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. So it goes like, here's how it goes today. ReFantasio for John. Bo says Batman VR. Scott says Shapes 2 with a Z. No, I don't know.
Batman VR is real tenuous, though. We've got a real glut of VR games coming. So
that's true, but it's pretty strong. Pretty strong start.
It's strong. As it stands now, yes, that's ahead, very much ahead.
Let's move on down the line here to Bo himself. We talked about Timberborn, a little bit of WoW. Any more on that you want to mention before we go?
No, I mean, I think we talked about it. They have an update where the water physics are not listeners may want to know if they want to get back into it. Their water physics were they called it 2.5D, where you couldn't lift the water out. Like they had pumps and you put them out, but they kind of flow down. Apparently now the water's fully 3D. Which means you can build aqueducts, which are like those things that are high up that carry water around. I think there's no real like new crazy items for it, but I think the idea is you can pump water. You can, pump up water from low elevation to high elevation.
Yeah.
So if there's a way to make a lake, like a reserve tank of water, then you can do that and then maybe distribute the water around an aqueduct. Like I'm still feeling my way around it, but it's like there's an interesting creative thing for your cities to like spread the water around but do raised water aqueducts. So that really just compelled me to go back in and start playing. But of course, I'm still also just playing the game, which means I need carrots.
Yeah, carrots all day, man. You know what, John? You probably like Timberborn once you dive in eventually. You turtle up. That game is all about turtling up.
I own it. I think it's really compelling. I just haven't played it yet.
Because it's turtling all day, man. I love it. I don't have to worry about outside forces. Nobody's come to attack me. I'm just making the best. Water's your number one resource. If you can manage that, you keep food in warehouses, turtle up like a crazy person, automate a bunch of shit, bunch of beavers running around all day doing everything. It's great. Such a great game.
No, it's a real vibe, and I like it a lot.
Yeah,
so
they nailed it.
I ended up getting sucked in way more than I guess I had realized because I'd already put in 10 hours. I think I only meant to check it out for like an hour. I was like, oh, I spent my whole day playing Beaver game. Okay.
Well, after you're raving about Batman last week, I figured that's all you'd do this week, but it sounds like some other stuff.
Well, I mean, that's always the trade-off with VR. Traditional flat screen games, you can kind of go hard for 40 hours in a week if you got some time off and you just really love the game. Like Metaphor ReFantasio, you put 100 hours in 2 weeks, John. It's doable.
Yeah.
But I can't throw actual punches for 40 hours in a week.
No. No.
Like
Physically,
VR is like a different beast. VR is like, I really love this game, and that means I'm playing 2 hours, and then I need a rest day before I play again.
Yeah.
Like that's like the VR experience. So in a way, it kind of sucks because if you're really having a good time, you do have to put it down. But at the same time, it's kind of okay. Like it's kind of a problem sometimes that games are just like, well, here you can just do this forever. All you got to do is sit there and make sure you're still breathing and eat some food and pee sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of activities, like if you want to play volleyball with your friends, well, you can only play when people are available, and it's not like you can play 8 games of volleyball back to back. Like you spend your 2 hours playing volleyball, and you're like, I'm gonna rest now.
We're gonna go eat.
So VR's that vibe where it's like, I really loved it. I spent 3 hours doing it, and I'll see you in a couple days.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean you like the game any less or it's a worse game. It's just that's the meta for VR, unless you're playing like Flight Simulator, like or something where you can sit and not have to move your hands too much.
Do you have ripped guns now? Are your guns all ripped? If you put your arms up in the mirror?
No. I just muscles in my back were sore for a day for 24 hours. That's all that happened. I might be developing some muscle like from punching, but it was exercise.
It is.
But no, I'm not jacked or ripped. Yeah, I was sweating.
Yeah.
I had sweaty armpits, and I was tired, and I felt pain in my body. Like if you go golfing for 6 hours, the next day your body will be, unless you're conditioned, you'll be in tremendous pain. You're like, well, it's just swinging a golf club, but
yeah,
it works your body, and this is kind of the same. I mean, punching. I mean, if you think about it, if you were to take like a Taekwondo class and fake punch for an hour, it's basically that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, but I enjoy it. We'll see. But like one of the games I'm strongly eyeballing is there's a new Microsoft Flight Simulator. On the way.
VR mode thing.
And this new one has a big VR mode support deal going on, and I'm like, is this?
It could be cool.
Is this my time? Am I deep enough into my 40s now that I can find Microsoft Flight Simulator a compelling purchase, and it's in VR? I'm like, I think I'm really going to learn how to fly a plane, boys, in Microsoft Flight Simulator, because it's in VR, and that's probably not strenuous. So,
I think you may have to reach up, hit some switches and junk like that, but I don't think.
Yeah. It's going to be real. I'm all about learning to, because I think it's supposed to be 1-to-1 with real life as much as possible, right? That's the whole deal with Flight Simulator.
Yeah.
So I'm like mildly compelled, because it's in VR, to pick up Microsoft Flight Simulator and play that in VR.
That game has amazing mods. It's got I think officially all the Halo vehicles in it. Like flight vehicles.
Oh, that could be. A thing that they're doing this time around, I don't know if they did it before, but there'll be flight missions.
Yeah.
Like this VIP wants a private flight. Taylor Swift needs a plane ride. And you're like, okay, sweet. I don't know if Taylor Swift's actually in it. I'm not trying to hype the game up for people. But, but a VIP will need a flight. And I'm like, you know what? I'm interested. Sign me up. Wish list it, please, which I have, and we'll see.
Cool.
Behemoth also coming as well. Which Behemoth, early reports are is that it kicks ass, which is basically Shadow of the Colossus VR.
Ooh.
Where there's giant Godzilla-like sized creatures that you have to climb up and fight.
Sounds great.
And there's a flying one, so you have to get on him while he's flying, and he's flying around, and you're in VR trying to hang on for dear life. Behemoth is, if it lives up to the hype, it's gonna blow my brains out. It's gonna be so good.
It seems really good, yeah. All right, well, excellent. That's what we played this week, everybody. How about a little of this?
That's a good question.
Some quick emails. Well, one email and a couple of very fast texts. This first email came from Karenna, and it says, "Hey, Scott, my husband is a longtime listener and just got me listening to your shows. So this is about episode 439, Hell. It's about time. This is a core episode. You were discussing what you could taste, or that you could taste your eye drops. Do you guys remember this? Like some eye drops, you can put them in, you can taste the taste of the eye drops. Do you guys remember this conversation?
You were talking about that, about some eye drops that leaked into your eye, and then you could taste them.
Yeah, it didn't even matter. I mean, they literally are. The ones when I had my surgeries, they were kind of hardcore antibiotics, and you can taste these. And I tasted them every time because your eyes are connected to your throat. you don't normally notice it because usually it's like saline. It doesn't have a taste. But anyway, she says this. The answer is yes, you can. The eye sockets and the nasal canals are connected. So when you use eye drops, it runs down your nasal cavity and down the back of your throat. I also sent this message to your Instagram account because it wasn't until this podcast that I heard the email, and my internet, Kung Fu, is not so strong. So I wasn't able to find this. Anywho, I hope this clears up any questions. You can ask your eye doctor because fact-checking is always good. Have a good one, Corinna. Yeah, it's totally how it works. It freaked me out the first time I did it, and I tasted it, and I went, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. Like I was having a stroke.
Yeah, because if you don't know the mechanics, it's a surprising thing.
It's really shocking, especially when it's caustic and awful, and you're just like, is this what dying feels like? And then I talked to my eye doctor, and he goes, yeah, you can totally taste those. I'm like, well, thanks for letting me know ahead of time. Here's the text, 801-471-0462. How do I audition to be the drummer for Gaforath for the big BEAU Biz album? Is BEAU holding auditions? We have somebody who wants to be your drummer, BEAU. How you feel about that?
The BEAU Biz? Oh, we talked about, what was it?
Our band, you're going to call the band Gaforath.
Big Bobies, that was the name.
Oh,
of
Big
the
Bobies album. Yeah, that was it. You want to have a drummer? You want to hire out, or what's your plan there?
I don't have a rehearsal space, so if I hire you, I don't know how any of this works.
It'll be remote. That's the best.
But if you literally play drums, I'd take some, MIDI recordings.
Nice.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, hell yeah. Everybody contribute to cool things. I have no problem with that. You know our email address. Here's one final one. Hey, core crew, on Diablo 4 cosmetics, I have no interest in any of the skins, and specifically, all my outfits are set to unequipped look, except the weapon. I find something cool and let it ride. There is something about the aesthetic of an unarmored badass that bringing the fight to hell has been quite fun for me. Thanks. I never do this, but I get it. If your vibe is a shirtless Spiritborn who's just kicking ass in his little panties,
yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. I probably should have done that. Come to think of it, but
then you'll never buy a skin.
My Tauren monk does that. Like it's just pants. It's just a Tauren in high and rolled up jean pants or what jorts, I guess.
Does that feel okay with his big dumb hooves and stuff? It doesn't bug you that he looks like a goofball?
No.
Okay.
I mean, what are you gonna wear as a monk? It's like I get like that plate mail wearers and wizards have like armor and accoutrements. It's like your whole deal as a monk is like oneness with life, right?
Yeah.
That your skin is hard as steel if only you meditate the right way. Like, what does a monk need gear for?
It's a good point. It's a good point. Just needs to hold his junk and you're done.
I guess it depends on the gear. Like if you've got a gem that can either float above your head or in your forehead, that's cool. Like monks definitely love their gems, their forehead gems.
John, where do you stand on too much regalia when it comes to your skins? Do you like less or more?
It depends. Like I have a orc in World of Warcraft an orc warrior that I think looks awesome because I do like giant bulky plate mail boots, giant bulky plate mail pants, big old gauntlets, but then I do like a strap type top where it's like barely anything there.
It's not this.
Like war harness or whatever.
Yeah, like a war harness on the top, and I just think
like
it's
you put Lae'zel's underwear on the chest.
Yeah, I think it is an awesome look. I think it looks really, really cool. So it depends.
Yeah,
there can be absolutely an aesthetic of it. Let me solo her in Elden Ring, famous for being naked and wearing just a pot on their head. So, it works for somebody.
Oh, I should let me solo her on my Fury Warrior.
Yeah, you should. Why don't you do it?
Is there a pot helmet? I definitely found a mushroom helmet. I need a pot helmet.
I have a couple of they have some stuff in the game that's like instead of a sword, it's like a spatula. So I'm going to guess there's a pot helmet. I don't know where you get that, though. It's got to be a pot, right?
New transmog research assignment. Thanks, John.
ESO has them. They have pots because the John Cleese character wears a pot on his head, so players demanded it. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for your texts, everybody, and your emails. Send us your stuff. talktothecore@gmail.com is the email address, and 801-471-0462 is your 10 hams line. Get those messages in here. You can leave voicemails as well. And last week I promised a ton of voicemails in post, and then I forgot to put them in there, so that was fun. So today I will not forget and actually do it. I guess you won't know if I did it or not until you hear it, but I'm going to stick them in there. Apologies to everybody who wondered what the hell I was talking about last week. That is going to do it for us. I do want to make a quick shout out to a patron we missed some time ago. I got this message that says, "Hey, Scott, never got a shout out for becoming a patron on Core. My name is Matt Bolge, or Coregral. That's his nickname. He joined both Patreons on Thursday, October 17th. Well, guess what, dude? You're getting an extra shout out today. Thank you for being a part of our Patreon.
Not only a shout out, but a spotlight.
Hell yeah. Right in your face.
Everyone, like, look, come to the Core chat and Discord and say thank you, Matt Boge.
Yeah, thank you, Matt Boge. I think we're saying it right. Boge?
It could be Boye.
I feel like Boje is something you'd ask for in a not so reputable establishment with ladies. You know what I mean? Can I get a nice Can I get a Boje?
Oh, because right.
It sounds dirty.
The syllables sound close to another thing that starts with a B.
Yeah.
And also, second syllable starts with a J.
So what I've done is I've ruined his spotlight by bringing up this connection to a BJ. So
I wonder he probably got that joke in high school.
He probably did.
I'm sure we're not the first to go, "Oh, hey, Matt Boje,"
Well, here, this will clear your mind a bit. Just look at this. Stare at this for a while. See that? Anyway.
For the audio listeners, Scott is once again holding up Dr. Manhattan's nutsack for us.
Yep. It's fantastic. You too can get these at Amazon for very, very little money. It's called the Universal Dust Clinger. The Pull Dinky is the brand. Anyway, it's called a Pull Dinky or Donkey, something like that. Hey, everybody, that's going to do it for that. Oh, quick note that if you are a patron of the show, you're going to get no commercials. You're going to get pre-show content every week, monthly benefits, including game art in the mail, other cool stuff, host specials. Who's due right now? Is it me?
You.
It's me. So sometime in November, you're going to get a killer, hopefully early November, you're going to get a killer one from me about my time with an ancient video game called Crazy Climber and why it affected my life, maybe saved my life at one point. Pretty hardcore. You'll have to tune in and find out and become a patron and hear it. Anyway, we'll be back here next week, and there's a good chance, let's call it a better than good chance, that we're going to be recording these shows at noon Mountain Time on Thursdays from now on. All right? Now, how it works with like the hour flip that's coming up, and that's this weekend, isn't it? Sunday?
Yeah.
How that works then, I don't know, because John doesn't move. He's in Arizona, where they staunchly don't want to do that, but everyone else
we say nay to your time shenanigans.
Yeah, and I agree with you, by the way. I wish we all did it, but we'll figure it out and let you know. But we think earlier in the day is going to work really well. I know it's going to be better on John while he's sick. Being sick at night is the worst time to podcast. It's the worst. So anyway, watch for that news coming soon. We'll let you guys know and update the schedule accordingly. If it doesn't happen, we'll let you know too, but that's the plan. And I just poked a hole in my thumb. That's fantastic. Ow.
Ow.
Yeah, it was the bread
like
ties. The little bread ties you put on bread to tie off the bread. There's the little metal part sticking out, and I just poked it through my thumb.
Ow.
Yeah. Got to stop fiddling around. Where's the cool sensation of Dr. Manhattan's ball sack?
Yeah, I was going to say, go back to playing with your ball sack.
I'll do that now.
There's no sharp edges on a ball sack.
Well, that's perfect timing, because now I can pass it over to Grandma, who will... she's feeling a little under the weather, but we'll see if she can tell us.
Yeah,
what we
it's
played
weird.
Today.
It always happens at the same time as me, it seems.
Yeah, weird. Grandma, take it away. What'd we play?
Well, if you missed what the games were, here they is. Dragon Age, the Veilguard, the character creator, not the game, just to make another characters. ColdRidge, that's the Civilization first move game. Kill Knight, that's the shooter one. Metaphor ReFantasio, that's the 100-hour RPG. Timberborn, that's the beavers. World of Warcraft, that's the, you know what it is. It's fine.
You're right. You know what it is, and it's fine. Perfect description. Well done, everybody. That's us. That's you. We're all done here. Come watch us live next time we record, or check out the podcast. Tell your friends. Let everybody know it's the best gaming podcast on the planet. Happy Halloween. Be safe. Don't take any wooden nickels, and we'll see you next week.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
Hello, China.
I couldn't find anything else to click on, so I just did that one again. It's fine.